Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Focus on Liberia. Tonight we are entering part 2 of our debate. Does the Liberian opposition represent a viable alternative to the Weah administration? With me, I have my guest co-host, Ms. Masa Dopo. Masa, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Please introduce our guest and the topic tonight.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Masa Dopu, and today we want to take this time to welcome all of you to this platform and to introduce you to our guest, Mr. Josh Lopo of the Unity Party, and Honorable Gibson. Gibson, I can get your last name right. Gibson Jeru. From the no position, right? No position.
No position.
No position. And Honorable Gibson does not see the opposition or the opposition collaborating party as an alternative to the ruling party. And I have with me, of course, my boss, Mr. Dennis Ja. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into this platform, for tuning in to watch this debate. And the guests will be looking up to you for feedback as well. It's an opportunity that you will be given to call in to be able to post your questions to the guests or be able to make a comment or whatever. You can also leave your comment, your question on Facebook, and we'll be able to read it to the guests. Just make sure you are clear to post your question to whoever the question is intended for. And please, this platform is a very good platform. We don't want people insulting our guests as well as those who's going to be calling in. And we understand that we are not always going to be on the same page, but we can all disagree to agree with respect and dignity for each other. So thank you again for joining us on this Friday. We are going to be discussing the topic: does the Liberian opposition represent a viable alternative to our country and also to our people? It's yes or no. We got yes and we got no, and it's up to you to be the judge. So again, my name is Masa Dopu, and I'm the co-host for this debate tonight.
Thank you, Masa. And gentlemen, once again, welcome, Mr. Lobo. He has been here a couple of times. Mr. Jeru, welcome for the first time. We're so glad to have you. Our debate format tonight is you're going to answer the question is yes or no question. Does the Liberian opposition, the current opposition we have now, represent a viable alternative to the leadership or the government? Mr. Jeru is saying no. Mr. Lobo is saying yes. So the format is you have 2 minutes to respond to that question and give your reason why. So by contrast, Mr. Lobo volunteered to go first with this one. And in the second part, we'll have rebuttal. So you're going to rebut what the person said, and that will be for 1 minute, 30 seconds. After that, we have the cross-examination. Mr. Lobo asks Jeru question and vice versa. Then we have questions from the moderators before we bring in our audience. Gentlemen, welcome, and just for 30 seconds, if you have something to say before we can start. Mr. Jeru.
Oh, I'm waiting for my turn.
Okay, good. Mr. Lobo?
Yeah, so let me first and foremost begin by saying thanks to all you Liberians who tune in this evening to watch such a discussion. It's a privilege to be here today to talk about the opposition and do we present an alternative. I'm glad to be here representing the Unity Party as a member of the CPP. We do provide alternative. So I want to say to all of you who took up your basic schedule to be here with us, I want to say thank you. And I hope that this discussion will be one in the interest of our country. Thank you, Mr. Ja, and thanks to your co-host for the privilege. I look forward to this discussion.
Thank you. Masa, I love we can get this thing started.
All right.
All
So
right.
we can now move on to Honorable Gibson. Would you do you mind introducing yourself to our audience and just give a brief position, just a position, yes or no, kind of.
Okay. I said I don't think the opposition we have now is sophisticated enough, is politically prudent to represent or to serve as a viable alternative to the ruling party that is in place right now, because there are several things I'm going to point that make them incapable of serving as a viable opposition.
All right, so now we will, Honorable Dennis, do you have anything to say before we move on to Mr.
Yeah, I want to give each of them 2 minutes to present that position. So, Mr. Gibson, was that your 2 minutes?
No, that was not his 2 minutes. That was just an introduction.
Oh, okay.
So if Mr. Lobo can go, why he say yes, then I can have the negative part of the coin okay. Part of it.
Sure. So let's get this started. Does the Liberian opposition represent a viable alternative to the Weah administration? Yes or no? Mr. Lobo, you go first.
I've been very clear, Mr. Ja. I say yes. First and foremost, let us define the word alternative. It is one of two or more possibilities, available possibilities. So when we look at available possibilities, using President Weah's own words upon his return from the UN General Assembly, the judge, he said that the capable were not available, the incompetent became available. That is a question that for Liberians to answer. When you have a race where you have the former vice president who served 12 years in the previous regime, who bring more than 20 years worth of public service experience, you have the former maritime commissioner, a well-established businessman in the race. You have one of Liberia's finest councillor, the man Charles Walter Bronsky, former Senate Pro Tempore of the Liberty Party. You also have one of Liberia's finest sons, the man from the private sector, a well-established Alexander B. Cummings from the Coca-Cola. And for us to be asking if there's no alternative, to me, I think it's mind-baffling. Because knowing that the CDC-led government headed by George Weah itself, any of these four guys, any one of those four guys would have been better off than George. And I still believe today that if the country was in the hands of any of those four guys that I just mentioned, Liberia would have been far better. We see a president who lacks the ability to be dynamics of governance. We see a leader who does not understand the basic intricacies of leadership. I need to understand, my 2 minutes up, or was I just being interrupted?
Go ahead.
No, I think it's your network.
Go ahead.
But go ahead.
All right. So we see from the opposition, we see leaders, we see Liberians who have the history, who have the experience, who have the records to show that they've been accomplished, that they've served and they understand what needs to be done. So finding an alternative to George Weah in the CDC is very simple. The CDC government is one that is filled with a bunch of incompetent young people with no experience. I think the working away of the central bank governor is a clear indication. We see the finance minister who infused 25 million can I account for it. So we believe that with Joseph Boakai, Master Nobel from my party, or the Alexander Cummings, or that of the Benedict, any of these guys from the CP are viable alternatives to Liberia. So that is my position.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Lobo, and thanks to all of you who came on here to listen to us. Let me give a disclaimer. Whatever I do here is not a representation of the CDC or the government. It is my own critical analysis and has nothing to do to support or not to support anybody. So having said that, let me just say up the cuff right now that the opposition we have right now is a very desperate opposition. They are liars. They're full of lies. Every one of them have lied one way or the other. They are confused opposition. They cannot even hold themselves together. They are also very self-centered. They are conceited, and they lack the leadership needed for a replacement for the current leadership. Let me start with Joe Weah. This man served 12 years, and before that, 20 years in government. In 1984, if I can still remember, or 86, thereabout, he was dismissed by Samuel Doe for a corruption allegation at the Liberia Petroleum Corporation. That issue has never been settled by the Liberian people. He had never addressed himself to that, and that is a problem. This man served 12 years under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and we all know how much corruption that was saddled the Liberian government during early administration. We also know that Ellen herself admitted that they have failed in many ways to implement the policies of the Unity Party. This old man cannot. He admitted to us that he was like an old car parked in the garage. How can a man who served as vice president, who admitted on Mr. Costa's show that he invited Ellen to his house many times, and some of the decisions that were made as a result of his suggestion, and coming back and say he was an old car park? He was dishonest. He is not fit to tell the Liberian people the truth about his ineptitude. Talking about Alexander Cummings, this man has lied to the Liberian people, and I will point them out tonight. We also look at Benana Ure, a man who was indicted with 7 counts of financial fraud in our country, the man who enriched himself out of corruption. And this man wants to be a viable replacement to a government. I don't see that. Let's look at Bronskin. Bronskin was rejected 3 times now by the Liberian people. If he was so much a viable replacement, why would the Liberian people reject him? This is a clear indication that the Liberian people know these people. They are fake. They are unable to lead. They are confused. They are very desperate, and they will do anything to bring this government down just so that they can have a chance.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Lobo, your rebuttal before Gibson come with his rebuttal.
Let me emphatically state that there are Liberians who are watching this podcast, and they will expect all of us that come on here to be factual and be respectful of what we say. I don't know if Mr. Gibson's statement are based on his emotion or personal feelings, but I will hope when Mr. Gibson is referring to government, when government operates with documentation. And what I will not get into is to allude myself into conversation based on sentiments and mere opinion. I want, when you talk about government, you talk about allegation, refer to the cases and give us data with facts. Or when you mention the name of Alexander Cummings, talk about he's a liar, you must be able to point those instances where he's lied, where he has contradicted himself. Let's go back to Ambassador Weah. You may mention that he was fired by Samuel Kayando. Mr. Gibson, my expectation is that with your age, I assume that you should know a lot more and have the experience. If only you have not been factual to the Liberian people. Right after President Samuel Kayando dismissed Doe, we all understand what happened with President Doe. Doe was inexperienced. Doe did not understand what was happening. Doe was insecure. So people who came from the top of government, he found means to get rid of them. Can you also end the story and say that Doe was then Ambassador Weah was appointed agriculture minister by the same Samuel Kayando after his dismissal? Why don't you end the story with that part of it? You see, when people come to these discourses and want to give statements that will make them to be happy, then for me, I think I want something that will be educated to our people. When we talk about a man Weah and you want to question his character, let me be factually clear. And let me quote Madam Sirleaf, sir. Your quotation of Ellen is deceiving and misleading. What Madam Sirleaf said in her State of the Union address to the Liberian legislature, she said, and I quote, that in the areas of reconciliation and with my effort towards fighting corruption, more could have been done. She did not say we failed the government. I don't, when you talk about fail a government that inherits a failed state with a reserve of 6.5 million and left it as a functioning country and was referred to as the second fastest recovering nation on the planet Earth, next behind West Germany. The country that is economy from 95% minus 95% GDP within the course of 6 years was growing at 7%. We established institutions. We created a condition and secured a $4.5 billion debt waiver. If your understanding of failure, that's what failure is, then I'd rather have that government that attracted 16.5 billion in foreign direct investment that was creating jobs. If that is your understanding of failure, I would take that type of government any day.
Your time is up.
Mr. Lobo, your time is up. And before Gibson, before you come in, this part is for rebuttal, and so we want you to observe the time. We gave 2 minutes. We took it to 2 minutes 30 seconds just because of that. So let's observe the time, Mr. Cheru, your rebuttal.
Mr. Lobo, I've been a journalist for 30 years. I cover all of these presidents. Okay. In February 2014, Ellen admits slow progress in government. If you read the Daily Observer, she admits that the government that she presided over failed to transform and recover the country. Failure of transformation and recovery of the country. I don't know how you consider something like that. And I gave you the date, not just a year. February the 2nd, 2014. Ellen Johnson admits that she failed to engender recovery of the country. In fact, let me read a portion here. The president admits that challenges inherited by the Unity Party include, but not limited to, massive unemployment, nepotism, corruption, poor economy, and broken educational system. But she says the country has not made progress in recovery and transformation. Tell me, when somebody failed to transform the country, when somebody failed to recover the country, to cause recovery in the country, you call that, how you call it? I don't know how you describe it. How do you, is it a minute something? But let me just go further. Let's talk about Cummings lie. Do you remember when recently the Election Commission was investigating the election fracas in Lockingtown, and there was a press conference that was held. And if I had a means, I could play the audio right now for you. When Cummings said in our press conference with Benana Ure and Taylor Ure that Taylor Ure has won the election, while the investigation was still going on, does it look like a viable, responsible comment from the opposition leader whose voice can cause uproar in the country, and you stand in front of journalists in the country and say Taylor has won, when in fact Taylor herself was the one who submitted the case to the Election Commission while it is still under investigation? These are things that opposition do that continue to hype up the tension in the country. They are not even capable of convincing George Weah, if George Weah were to resign today, who among the opposition will take over?
Thank you. All right, let me welcome all our viewers on Facebook and elsewhere. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is our debate, Friday night debate. The topic is, does the Liberian opposition represent a viable alternative to the Weah administration? And before you guys come with your second, before you guys speak again, I just want us to look at the topic a little bit more to see, there are keywords there, viable alternative. So let's address that. If you think the opposition is not viable, why? If you think the opposition is viable, why? Masa, if you want to add anything before we move on to the two debaters asking each other question.
Well, I just wanted to say that the guys came prepared. That's all I know so far.
Great.
They came prepared.
And our audience, please be prepared. We'll soon be posting the numbers for you to call and engage our debaters. So, Mr. Gerald, do you have a question for Mr. Lobo?
Mr. Lobo, I want to ask you a question. You have a collaborating political parties. This political party selected a candidate in Cape Mount. In a meeting, they selected a female candidate to represent the political party in Cape Mount. The ANC appointed another selected another person who they claimed to withdraw, even though the person did not withdraw. The collaborating political party lost. As we stand right now, the ANC and the ALP of URE are at each other's throat. How could they be any more viable? How can they be viable when they cannot even hold themselves together?
Thank you very much for that question. Let me say one thing. I want you to, anyway, I can't control what you say and how you say it, but what I would do is to guide the facts so our people understand what is happening. It is true that the CPP registered a candidate in Grand Cape Mount County, which happens to be the Unity Party candidate. But let me say this to all of us. The ANC did her due diligence. The ANC withdrew its candidates. While it is true that we are in the CPP, that does not mean that everything, all the documentation, the framework have been concluded. You must not forget that these are 4 different political parties coming together. It takes a legal documentation that we will submit to NEC that will ban any one of those members from viewing another candidate moving forward. That have not yet been done. So I think the ANC did what they had to do. The ANC leadership withdrew the candidate. While it is true the candidate was stubborn, the National Election Commission said they could not, they will allow him to contest. Let me say this again. Whatever argument that some of you see and think that that is going to tear the CPP apart, I want to assure them that the CPP remains strong. We are committed to relieving Liberia of this calamity. We are dedicated and focused. You've heard it from our leaders. Right now, these things will happen. Even in a household where you live, I'm pretty sure there have been disagreement between you and your wife or you and your kids. These things are normal. There will be disagreement among us as members of the collaboration. But one thing I can assure the Liberian people is that at the end of the day, we will emerge as one body, one front, united with one common goal. With your allegations on Mr. Cummings about district.
Mr. Lobo, your time is out. Mr. Gerald, do you have a follow-up before we give it to Lobo to ask you?
You mean comment, not question, right?
No, I mean follow up to your questions. Another question.
Okay, Mr. Lobo, if the collaborative political party is so organized and can serve as a viable alternative, and as you said, you guys have not reached any legal documentation to tie the people together, why then did the CPP even attempted to stop Mr. Cummings and the ANC from putting forward a candidate? And a B to that, if they did not succeed in stopping Mr. Cummings after the CPP selected a candidate, was it not politically imprudent for Mr. Cummings and the ANC to even venture to put forward another candidate, let alone withdrawing that candidate?
Here's what I would say to you, Mr. Gibson. The CPP is the collaboration of 4 different political parties. The CPP did not stop Mr. Cummings. The ANC felt, as a member of the CPP, that it would be prudent that the ANC, being a member of the CPP, does not have a candidate in Grand Cape Mount County. They were not under no force, there were no pressure. That is why Alexander Cummings, we don't want a leader who makes decisions under pressure. And I think he uses moral judgment. And on the basis of that, the ANC decided to withdraw the candidate. Once again, let me be very, very clear with you, sir. These things do not happen overnight. These are 4 different political parties. Every single one of them have different goals, but coming together with one interest. The documentation, the framework must be submitted to NEC. Had the framework been submitted to NEC, that would have automatically disqualified that candidate. So since it was not done and he defied the leadership of the ANC, we appreciate what was done by the ANC in this leadership. Now it is up to them to be able to instill whatever disciplinary measure they will. But I think the CPP understand and we appreciate what was done by committee. And that is where I can say to that. I can't get into people's emotion and people's sentiments about the CPP because there's a lot of speculations. There are people who wish the CPP don't hold. There are some who are dying on their knees for the CPP to fail. But I can say to you, if you are on your knees and waiting for the CPP to fail, you might likely get a knee replacement surgery before 2020.
Mr. Lobo, your turn to put a question to Mr. Cheru.
Oh, very well. Mr. Cheru, in your session, you spoke and read about Madam Ellen Johnson's statement in 2014. What I want for you to do for me today is, you also read about some of the conditions the Unity Party government inherited. Can you state here for us, what was the state of the economy and what was Liberia's natural reserve in 2006 upon the Unity Party ascendancy to power?
How does that argue the point of the opposition viability?
That's your answer?
Yeah, that's my answer, because we are here to discuss the viability of the opposition. And so if you're asking me to go to the World Bank website, to go to
Dennis, let me help you understand one thing.
No,
let me help you
respond to that, because
let me help you. I will help you.
We are not discussing Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. We're discussing the viability of the opposition.
Let me answer him. Dennis, don't worry, I got this. Let me answer him. We are speaking about the opposition. The opposition, the Unity Party is the opposition. The former ruling party was the Unity Party. So the question is legit. If you don't know the answer, just be clear. The Unity Party is part of the CPP. And the question I ask you is about the Unity Party. And they are now, Joseph Weah is the senator of the Unity Party. I am from the Unity Party. My question is legit and it's on point. Answer the question, sir.
Let me answer the question, because you want to hear a political answer. You don't want to hear probably realistic answer. But let me answer you politically. Let me just tell you this. When Ellen took over, there was a whooping amount of effort by the international community to help Liberia off. There were debt rating. The international community brought in more money for the country to manage. And so she was blessed with international effort to boost the economy, up to the point when she left, the United Nations services were still in Liberia, offshore funds were still coming. She still had a whooping contribution from the World Bank, from the United Nations agencies. There were roads being built by World Bank. There were roads being built by UNDP, projects being undertaken by UNDP. So 95% of Ellen projects were undertaken by international efforts. What we did not see is the realization or the transformation of the system, that Ellen took taxes from the local market or from the local revenue collectorate. We don't know what that money did, because there was so much money that came from the international community that she did not have to scrap the crust as the present regime is doing. So that question, like I said, is a political question, because it doesn't speak to the reality of whether that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf time can transmit into the current reality, because Joseph Weah said boldly that he was in the garage. He told us that he was unfunctional. Now, this is a man who is going to 80 years old, and you guys are still saying he's viable. How? This is something that that's why I said these people are very desperate. Listen to George Lobo's comments before I even end. George Lobo said, the CPP is thriving, and we should give it time. All right? But George Lobo and the rest of the people are incapable of giving this government a time. After 22 months, they want a miracle to take place. But they want us to give 4 political parties coming together to understand each other, how they're going to operate. We should give them time before they can figure out how they're going to operate themselves. But they cannot give the present government time to solve the complexity of the economic strain.
Thank you.
What is desperate and
my next question?
Thank you. Yeah, your next question or your follow-up, Mr. Lobo.
Here's what I will do for Mr. Gibson. I will allow the Liberian people to judge him based on his experience.
Ask your question.
Yes, my next question. Mr. Gibson, you just alluded of your 30 years of journalism. So I assume you have covered many presidents. I want you to do us a favor. With your 30 years experience prior to Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and the Unity Party in 2006, can you state between 2005 and 1995, how much was attracted in foreign direct investment? And as of 2006 to 2017, 2018, when we left office, what was the total amount of foreign direct investment attracted by the UP?
Mr. Lobo, I'm not trying to disqualify your question, but we want to talk about the current administration.
Yeah, that's my point too.
That's what I wanted to do, but he decided to go back to the status.
No, I think Gibson even tried to avoid bringing Madam Sirleaf in the picture.
Let me ask you on the current administration. I would love it. Don't worry.
Let's use the current opposition, not the opposition from 12 years.
Let me go to the current administration. Mr. Gibson, let me help you. I'll do it. Don't worry. Mr. Gibson, you said in your expose of your experience, you know what a functioning government looks like, right? You understand that government is supposed to drive revenue. You talk about impacting people's lives. Can you state, since CDC came to power on January 22nd, 2018, up to today's day, can you name me 3 concession agreements that was signed in the tune of $5 million that have created at least 5,000 jobs each?
I should name you 3 concession agreements. Is the money of the country contingent upon concession agreement? You see, this is the problem I have with the opposition, because they don't even know what constitutes the running of an institution. Concession agreements does not qualify a government to be viable. Let me give you some education here. 1, we have so many concessionaires in our Liberia right now that are putting money into the Liberian Revenue Collectorate. For instance, we got LAC, we got Firestone, we got so many other companies that are satisfied, so many locking companies that are putting money into the collectorate. Unfortunately, there are several or some other concession agreements that were entered into by the Weah administration. Now, let me just say this. Like I said, I'm not here to defend the Weah administration, but I will tell you this so that the opposition will learn something today. When the president listened to the voices of the people and consider that not viable, not enough, what the president should do. Mr. Weah entered 2 agreements: the Iboma agreement, the other agreement from Asia. These agreements brought in constrained situation, and the president said no. The people are not happy with these agreements. There are so much money in there, 500 million, 460 million. They are whooping amount. I could take this money right now and transform my projects, but the people are not happy. Let's do away with these concession agreement. And you come to ask the president, why didn't bring agreement? Why didn't bring concession agreement? Concession agreements does not qualify a country to run. There are so many things that happen in Liberia today that disqualify Liberia economic growth, which is Madam Sirleaf. She prayed to the United Nations that when I leave, you both should leave, because that's what she requested for. When I leave, you guys can fold up. Right now in Liberia, the Liberian collectorate, international collectorate, has dropped to less than 3% because it was that it was viable, but nobody is there now. Any money. The government is scrapping all over the place, and you expect this government to perform miracle, even though you want us to give the collaborative political party chance to put themselves together. 4 parties cannot even come up with a single document, even though they are in their 6 months of operation. You want us to give them chance, but we don't want to give the George Weah administration chance, correct?
Thank you.
Can I answer or my time?
Your time over. There was a question, you are answering you. So let me go to Masa to ask any one of you her question.
Okay.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is time now for you to log into our conference line. The number is 605-313-6004. The code is 791403. That is posted. When you join the conference line, just wait, and we're going to bring you in. Masa, if you have questions for any of our debaters.
Well, I just want to take this time again to thank Honorable Lopo and Mr. Gibson for that brilliant presentation. Like I said, I do have my own concern with this debate and the issue. I have a position that I stand on, but because it's a debate and I'm serving as a co-host, I'll try to not be personal or try to hold back my own concern. But notwithstanding, I do have questions, I do have comments for both of our guests, and I hope that they will be able to address that.
Let's start with the question first.
So my first question goes to Honorable Lobo. Lobo, in his presentation, he brags about the alternative, the current opposition being filled with a lot of, should I say, qualified candidates who can take over, who he sees as a better alternative to the current ruling party or to President Weah. And Lopo, but this is Lopo a few days ago on social media, he was accusing one of the candidates who are also part of this coalition that they are stealing his policy. So, like, Honorable Lopo, I hope you understand where I'm going with this. You were on Facebook few days ago, you were blasting at candidates from the other side, specifically ANC candidate Honorable Cummings, and you also have people who are in support of the Unity Party who were also.
Mas, is it a question? Because I want you to, when you want to quote me,
I'm laying my premise.
Okay,
I will get to the question.
The full context, so I know what you.
All right. So this is Honorable Lopo on this platform bragging about the alternative, the opposition having viable candidates who are alternative to the current president, President Weah. But then this is Lopo a few days ago on social media telling us that people who are part of, people who he now brags about, who are part of the alternative, the opposition, and they are good alternative to President Weah, he was accusing them of stealing his policy. How could you address that?
First and foremost, you not only that you misspoke, but you did not quote me right. And I will ask that moving forward, whenever you quote someone, especially me being here, I will advise you quote me rightfully. What you saw on social media was very simple. I was not there asking people about recruiting. I was expressing dissatisfaction about members of the ANC, and I was very specific and direct in my statement. It was relating to a post from Muna Fahad, who comes from the ANC, which was an attack on Ambassador Weah, and I was responding to that. That does not in any way, shape, or form disqualify Cummings or disqualify the ANC. I remain committed to the CPP, but I also said, when we see wrong by members within the CPP, we will call it out, and that is what I did. So I hope you understand that pointing out ills within the CPP does not mean that it disqualifies any member of the CPP. And if that's what you're referring to, for the record, let me be very clear because I know what I said. My comments were very clear. It was directed to members from the ANC who I said that they should desist from attacking members from within the CPP in relating to that of Ambassador Weah and the Unity Party. And I'm pretty sure there are people within the ANC who agree to this thing that I said. So there's nothing here that does not disqualify Cummings, that does not disqualify Weah, that does not disqualify Bronsky, neither does it disqualify Weah. Pointing out that George Lobo was on Facebook and attack Cummings does not disqualify Weah. So let's get this straight. And if we want to make sure we inform the Liberian people, I will actually inform the Liberian people.
Josh, I don't want to get into a debate with you because you already have an opponent. I don't want to get into a debate with you. But I'm
answering the question, myself.
No, in order for us to be honest with ourselves as well as our audience and even your opponent, you have to be honest to yourself Josh, you have said so many things on Facebook regarding the some kind of disagreement that's going on in
Is
the
it a follow-up question? I want to know when you.
like I said, I'm gonna post my question. I'm doing a follow-up question to what you said, that you disputed that as being inaccurate. So I'm telling you that I don't want to get into a debate with you because you already have an opponent. But I'm telling you that you have to be honest to your audience as well. That you are telling us that you said something on Facebook that does not disqualify you, that does not disqualify Bronski or whosoever, but you are an official member of the Unity Party. Do you realize your position in the Unity Party?
199.9%. Yes, I do.
So why would you think that your behavior or your actions does not affect?
Let me address the question. Even though the question.
All right, Masa, I don't think it's a question. Let me clarify this.
Okay, no, let me.
Was nothing malicious. Let me say this again. The reason why the CDC government is failing, because George Weah does not have people within his ranks to tell him when they see him doing wrong. And I can assure you within the CPP, we are smart people there, that when we see wrong, we'll call out wrong. And that is all it was.
Let me respond a little bit.
Hold on. Let me ask my question too. The question was Mr. Jero.
No, a question was posed to me. Let me finish. You cannot interrupt it. Let me finish.
Go ahead, finish.
Let me answer my answer, because I want to make sure that Liberians who are listening to us will leave from here with the facts. We must not misinform the people. So nobody's going to interrupt me when I'm being asked. Let me address the issue, because I'm here. In as much as I come from the Unity Party, it also reflects on the CPP. So I have to make sure that I state the facts. And so please let me not be interrupted. Let me respond to this question once again, ladies. My statements on social media have been very, very clear. I think if you ask Remy Gray, the general, and so many other people from different political parties, I have been very, very clear that if any member of the ANC attack one member of this other party or of our party, I will call it out. I will point it out. So pointing out wrongdoing within our organization does not mean that the other party is bad. If I said the party will walk away, then okay. But I still continue to say the CPP remains strong.
Gosh, you are not pointing out. You are not pointing out the wrong. You are accusing. You are accusing somebody.
Hold on, Masa.
And surely be the next president of the Republic of Liberia.
Masa, hold on. Josh, you answered the question.
And Dennis, let me make Josh to understand. You are not, Josh, you are not accusing, you are not pointing out the wrong of Mr. Cummings. You were potentially accusing somebody who has the potential to be the next president of the Republic of Liberia. So if you
let's move on. He answered the question.
Let me speak to something.
Any other question for me?
Hold on, Jero. I'm coming with your own question. So I have one question for you and one question for Mr. Lobo. Let me start with Mr. Lobo first.
And I have a question for Gibson as well.
Yeah, let me ask, because you use too much time on Lobo. So
no, because Lobo is fighting back. He's not responding to the question.
That's why he's here to fight for, because he's debating. What does viable mean to you, Mr. Lobo, and how does the opposition meet that criteria? Because we're talking about.
All right. The word viable to me means someone with reasonable value, someone that can come in and be able to restore confidence. And for instance, in the financial sector, when we say we want a viable candidate to replace the central bank, that means we want a candidate who comes in and can be able to institute monetary policy, put for economic reform, and make recommendations to the president. That is what viable means. So when we talk about the opposition, we now have a government that is up to 18 months being in power. They are yet to address the issue of economic reform. So when we talk about viable opposition or alternative, you've listened to Alexander Cummings on his plan for expanding the economy. He wants to move the budget from 500 million to 1 billion, 1.5 billion, subsequently 2 billion. You've listened to Ambassador Bwaka, who talk about roads. We did not talk about building roads for boyfriend to go see girlfriend. We talk about roads that provide valuable economic return, opening agriculture hubs. We talk about decentralization, diversification of the budget, of the economy, so that everybody can participate. So when we say viable alternative, anybody, let's be honest here, Bernard Yure ran a successful business for more than 10 years and remain one of Liberia's highest employers. Bernard Yure holds a 20% stake in Liberia's most accomplished and most successful cell phone company. This man knows what it means. So he can manage an organization. So any of these guys, they are capable of leading Liberia. The four of them, the Yure, the Bromskin, the Commies, the Boyka, they remain viable alternative to that of George Weah. We must not forget, who are we talking about? We are talking about President Weah and the CDC. So I think this comparison is easy to look at. Any of the four from the CPP remain viable and overqualified, competent to replace George Weah as an alternative to that of the CDC.
Dennis, I think before we move on to Gibson, we have to make sure that we address all of our questions in our time to Josh, because
then
Josh, Josh, even the audience rely on us, to seek clarity on those questions. So Josh is not, in as much as we are the moderators, Josh is not just we're not gonna slide over things and give him that chance to just be able to run around everywhere and not addressing the question directly. Sorry to say that, but Josh, you continue to brag about the opposition as being a viable alternative to the current ruling unit, the current ruling CDC party. What is the framework? What is the framework? Because you are the opposition, the people are looking at you right now. You are let's say the potential presidency in waiting. What is the framework? Are you?
Let me ask you, Mas. When you refer to framework, are you referring to the framework that binds the CPP together, or what are you talking about? That's why you need to be very clear with your question.
I'm not talking about the framework that bonded the CPP together, because you have already made it known to us that right now the CPP is not bound together because you guys don't have an agreement, and that's why we continue to see disagreements going on in the CPP. So we are not interested in that. But okay, let's just say you as a
let me answer the question for you.
You as an official of the then ruling party, Unity Party, what is your framework coming into power and wanting to seek the voters for the second time?
Here's what I say to you, Masa. It's very, very simple. I will not particularly try to bring this conversation limited to the Unity Party, but it's very, very clear. I think when you asked about framework, what you were referring to, you wanted to know what the opposition is bringing for as its platform upon formation of the CPP. That should have been the right word, but saying was not useful. Okay. Now let me come to the Unity Party. Let me finish. I told you I will not appreciate it.
I wanted to make that the right word, but because you said that the CPP is not bonding together, that's the reason why I said, okay, let me address it to you as a member of the Unity Party. What is your framework? What are you coming into?
Dennis, here's my recommendation to you, Masa. I think after this debate, you can schedule another day for you and I, and we can clarify a lot of things with you. But let me say this.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me say this. Let me be very frank here with you. Our people here, some people left their jobs to be here. Let me make this very, very clear. When it comes to the Unity Party, we have been very, very clear. The vision of Ambassador Joseph Newman Boyka was very, very simple. We talk about empowering Liberians. Ambassador Boyka was dedicated. He made it very clear. We talk about self-reliance. Don't forget, Masa, Ambassador Boyka was one of the only candidates who said his number one goal is to remove Liberia from aid. He wanted to get rid of aid. He even went as far as saying Liberia must be self-reliant, that we must spend within our means.
What prevented him?
Can I finish speaking before you get interrupted? Let's be intellectual for once. I allow you to speak when I'm speaking.
Go ahead, Mr. Lobo. We have a lot of.
But if we have a lot, if I'm being asked a question, just let me answer the question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
When I'm speaking and I'm stopped, I will stop. I won't speak. So let me just sum this up for you. In its own nutshell, we've been very, very clear with what we want to do. And I think the Liberian people know. The Liberian people now can make the case is clear. You hear the songs today. That this kind of looting, we never saw it during the UP time. This kind of stealing, we never saw it during the UP time. So we can sit here and debate all we want. But I make it very, very clear. If the Unity Party is giving another chance again, like we did in 2006, and restore Africa's failed state to a functioning democratic state, we are capable of doing it once again. And I will leave it right there because of time. Let me proceed. I want to articulate on more other issues.
Right.
Don't make my other guests to be boring. Let my guests.
My question to you, Mr. Gibson. What does the opposition?
Yes, sir.
What does the opposition need to do to be a viable alternative to the current administration?
Beautiful question. The first thing the opposition needs to stop this desperation for power. It is the desperation for power that makes them impatient, that makes them lack the ability to reason with reality, that makes them lack the ability to understand what the political intricacies are, what the economic intricacies are, and what are the social bearing of their action. They are so desperate, they need to stop desperation. They are so desperate that they put children in the street to protest every day so the government can crumble. They are so desperate that they talk about shooting people. They are so desperate that they talk about dragging the president's body in the street. They are so desperate that they can't even stay each other in their collaboration. They can't even stay each other in their collaboration. That's how desperate they are. They need to forget that desperation, number one. They have to stop the line. Look at Mr. Cummings. You stay in a press conference. You stay in a press conference. The people are investigating, and your thousands of your supporters are listening to you. And you say, Talia Ure has won this election. What could have happened if these Liberian people were not civilized to not go after a communist comment and cause havoc? They could have brought this government down from that lie alone. What do you think about Benina Ure, a man charged by the TRC with 7 economic crime, who got rich on the back of the Liberian people, who stole and told the Liberian people that when he was at Maritime Affairs, he was making $450 Liberian as a salary, and the Liberian people are clapping for him. Yeah, Benina Ure is a truthful man. This man stood on the podium and called other Liberians who did not support him as cockroaches, and people like Lobo did not have the fortitude to tell him what you say is reprehensible. Look at people like Yeke Koluba, a strong member of the ANC, who told the Liberian people that George Weah sent 150 armed men to his house to barricade a house. My knowledge of 150 men is a black platoon size, battalion size. So a whole battalion, 150 men with armed, barricaded a house. He told VOA, and people like George Lobo and others did not have the fortitude to tell him to stop this kind of hyperbole.
Thank you. My follow-up to you is, what do you say to the argument that anything is better than President Weah right now?
Oh, that is unfortunate. That is unfortunate. Why it is true, I'm not going to do Mr. Weah's publicity today. I'm going to do that on my critical analysis as a journalist. What do you mean anything is better? Listen, these people, Joseph Boakai, oversaw the importation of $16 billion Liberian without going through the process, and they flooded the market with a bunch of money that had no value. Now, this particular action that he and his president, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, took is now crumbling the economy, and George Weah is trying to solve it, and you say anything is better than him? George Weah just built 500 plus houses in Grand Cru. They are on a way to construct another 600. Then you say anything is better than George Weah? Look at Cummings. Look at Cummings. He is incapable of leading his party. They could not even make Simeon to back out. They could not even control the people in his party. And you say anything is better? Look at Costa, who spewed reckless insult and tried to and play and killing of the president and playing buying gun. You say anything is better than George Weah? Look at Benina Ure. Look at him. This man stole the Liberian wealth, and he is now rich and using the wealth to confuse the Liberian people and say anything is better than George Weah. You better think right, because by removing George Weah and putting anything there, we will be the one that will stand in the gap to stand up to these people. It is not possible. We will not allow that.
Dennis.
Hold on.
Dennis.
Let me go to Massa. If Massa have a question for
Yes, I do have.
I wanted to ask a question, Dennis.
Yeah, we'll come back to you, Lobo. I do have question for you, Gibson. I follow your presentation and you, first of all, let me just make this clear that Gibson has been a journalist for years. Since I was a kid, I've known Gibson. So I give him the credit for that. So it means that he has a lot of experience as when it comes to the governance of our country. But here's my question to you, Mr. Gibson. You describe the opposition as desperate opposition, confused opposition, lies, self-centered, lack of leadership, and they cannot move the country forward. So in a nutshell, you do not see them as a viable alternative to replace President Weah. So now my question, President Weah and his opposition party, do you also take into consideration that they were in opposition for 12 years?
Oh yeah, I do understand that. I do understand what your position.
They were in opposition for 12 years. And when they were in opposition, do you agree with me that they were not, like, based on the current happening of their leadership right now, that is being surrounded by corruption, being surrounded by incompetency, being surrounded by lack of communication, and some kind of infighting going on within the CDC leadership? Do you also want this opposition to believe that the current unity, the current ruling party, when they were opposition, that they were also confused, that they were also desperate, that they were liars and self-centered, and were only waiting for the opportunity to enrich their lives?
Thank you very much. That's a very great question. I want to agree with you on one premise. As I always said, the errors we made with CDC, that error, we should not make it again with these bunch of desperate, lying, conceited opposition elements. CDC lied their way through. That's why we said they did wrong. Mm-hmm. But the people who are there now, they are lying more than the CDC. How can they replace someone who lied once and you lie 5 times? How can you replace a man who lied once? That's the problem.
So do we have...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So the thing is, we have to be honest with ourselves. CDC was not perfect. CDC made several errors. And that's why we did not correct them. We did not stand up to them. And today they have taken power. But see who are coming to replace them. People who instigate 10 years old, 15 years old children to go in the street to protest, to put children's life in the way of harm. And is that what CDC did? No, CDC put men and women in the street. Now you want to replace CDC.
So CDC also put children in the street.
I don't have that information. Thank you for telling me.
No, I'm talking about protests, because when protest is going on, you know, children are very vulnerable in our society. So they will form part of the protest. I remember doing child still a time when I was still a child. You know, say every one of us were running with the "you came my man, you came my pa" thing. So I just trying to say that
Master,
also in the street.
Master, I don't have that information. Thank you for telling me. But here is my argument. There is no history in the CDC 12 years of advocacy that they took 11-year-old students, 10-year-old students, 15-year-old students, and put them in the street to protest.
No, they did not. But the children joined the protest.
No, okay, that's the difference.
Yeah.
That's the difference. In Liberia, Massa, and thank you for engaging me that day, because the more you engage me that day, I can get angry like George Lobo, who lack of words, and you will get angry. I like it. So here is the thing. If I go in the street, if I take 20 men in and women in the street, and children are fascinated and they join me, it's not my fault. Thank God I'm doing law. Honor contract law. People who willingly apply to an issue do not form part of the contract. On criminal law, criminal facilitation, it does not involve people who did not participate in the planning of the crime. So if I were planning the crime, 5 of us planning the crime, and we committed the crime, And then while we're doing the crime and you came in, you cannot be charged with criminal facilitation or conspiracy. That's a different charge you're going to get. So what I'm saying is the opposition today, they are putting our children's life at risk, and they think they are pressuring the government. They are breaking down the economy, and they think they are pressing the government. They are rude. They speak words that are unkempt. George Noble was on the other day.
Gibson, I know we want to move. I know we want to move forward with Liberia. We don't want to be repeating ourselves, and we don't want to be repeating things that have prevented us from moving forward as a country and repeating errors. In short, we don't want to be doing that. But somebody will also say that CDC did the same thing. CDC had protests upon protests. CDC carries casket of people laboring there and stuff like that. So do you see the repetition of stuff?
Master, I agree with you. Master, I agree with you. Yeah, it's the way I agree. I told you we are looking for alternative, and not just an alternative. We are looking for a viable one. So CDC is not doing well. So we say we're looking for alternative. So the alternative we are looking for, we have a bunch of political elements who are very, very rowdy, very violent in their words. They insult anybody's mother. They insult anybody's father. They cause chaos. They put children in the street. They lie like nobody's business. And you wanted to replace this government. How are we going to get a change? We're going to get lies upon lies in government. We're going to get criminality in government. We're going to get rowdiness in government. We're going to get rudeness in government. They are not viable. That's the whole word we are using here today. They are not viable. They are desperate. They are criminal-minded.
Dennis,
let me come with my follow-up last question, please.
No,
let me come with my follow-up last question. Because Gibson does not have a position yet. He's only in the interest of the Liberian people from my thinking. And I'm pretty sure he will agree with me. He's in the interest of the Liberian people.
We don't know that.
Then that brings me to my next that brings me to my next question, Gibson.
Let's be brief. We got a whole lot
of opposition that we have right now, the opposition collaborating parties that we have right now. These people are kind of like the face of the voters, should I say. They are well known. You see, Unity Party, part of the opposition political party. Unity Party has served in government for 12 years. They just left. The same with Liberty Party. They do have representatives. They have senators. They got their stronghold. And the same with the alternative. The alternative might be small, but they are growing. And they are networking, and they got the resources as well. And they got the manpower. And the same with which other party form part of that party again? Are they just the U.S. party? U.S. party might not be new, but U.S. got the resources. He got money. He got his contacts and stuff like that. So these are the faces of the voters. You understand? So now that we are all searching for a better alternative, according to you, who do you think can really override these people? Who do we have?
We need a new generation of opposition, reasonable opposition that will be viable. Marcel, let me just be honest with you today. What you say is true. I'm in the interest of the Liberian people. If you look at what is happening, we don't have opposition. The opposition, even the ruling party did not participate in the election in Cape Mount. They were not able to pull a victory. The Liberian people rejected them in Cape Mount, because they know they are not viable. They're not capable of even of holding themselves together. We're looking for viability. We're not just looking for replacement. If we want to replace Mr. Weah, if we say, well, Mr. Weah is corrupt, we want to bring somebody who is not corrupt. You want to put Bernard Ure there? Do you believe that Bernard Ure is not corrupt? You can replace George Weah? That is Mr. Costa yesterday was accusing Mr. Cummings of all kinds of things, including, but not limited to gay. This is the opposition you're talking about. The opposition that is tearing each other down, the opposition that is killing each other, the opposition that is undermining each other. Are these the people you want to put there? Are these the viable people you're talking about? I mean, it's a travesty of honesty. And look, the last time,
Dennis.
Hold on, let
Dennis.
Mr. Gibson,
Dennis, hold on one second. Dennis, let me say one thing. Hold on, Dennis. Let's get this thing under control.
Hold on, everybody, hold on and listen to me now. I'm muting all of you. Hold on. I want to welcome. We have a whole list of people that want to come in and call. So let me start with you.
Yes, Dennis, Dennis, please.
Hold
please.
On. Masa,
this is a debate, please.
Masa, hold on. We want to get more out of the Mr. Gibson. And
Yes, man doesn't see the opposition as an alternative. We want to really be able to ask this questions. So give us chance.
We have a list of people. We have a very credible and.
Okay, so this is my last question.
No, Mr. Dennis.
Let Lobo go ahead with your comment.
No, let me be very frank here with you. Here's what I think. I think your co-host job should be asking questions. Whatever happened with the opposition, I know Miles very well. Let me say this. I really want an exchange between Gibson and I. Let the Liberian people be the judge. And I think that that is not what is happening. I want the people to listen to us. Okay. Whatever question she has for him, let the question be direct to the two of us. If it is a discussion between the two of us, then I want it to be engaging between us and you guys asking questions. But if that's not the format, then I thought I would inform a different.
Then I will have to.
Let me finish. Don't interrupt me. Masa, I keep telling you very simple.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Just go ahead.
I have appeared on this platform on multiple occasions. I know what it looks like, and I want to be very clear. I think this discussion, my understanding was a debate between George and that of the journalists. Let the Liberian people listen to us and make the decision. I thought what was going to happen was you have questions given to Massa for to just ask us and let us respond to the question. That is not what is happening. If this is a conversation between Massa and Gibson, that is fine. I can sit back and watch it. But I think many Liberians tuned in here because I told them it was going to be a discussion. If that's the case, I'll be glad to leave the platform for you guys because that is not what is happening.
Thank you.
I just want to stay.
Dennis, let me extend my apology. Let me extend my apology.
I want to apologize.
I want to apologize.
I call out wrong when I see wrong. That's what I do. You don't need to apologize.
I want to take this time to apologize to you.
Don't. That's
fine. What you stated is not true. This is the format of the debate. I think we sent out copy. You have the copy of the format of the debate that you were going to introduce yourself, and then you were going to get 2 minutes to talk about your position and the scene with Gibson, and then you guys were going to go back and forth, and then the moderators were going to come in to ask questions. And so far, I think that's what I've been doing. But if you feel intimidated by that, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Let's move on. We have a whole list. There are people calling from overseas. That I wanted to bring them in quickly before that.
Yes, let's take that.
Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, once more before I bring in my callers, Mr. Lobo, if you have anything to say to two of you engaged, I give you 1 minute each to say something to each other before we bring on our caller.
Very well. Beautiful. I got a question for Mr. Gibson. Mr. Gibson said here just now that you can't trust the opposition because one of the parties from the opposition that we use, he said, am I protected?
Go ahead.
Okay. Mr. Gibson said there was an infusion of 16 billion by the previous government. And as an experienced journalist, I want Mr. Gibson to please clarify what he meant by that. Because as far as we are concerned, judging from the core report and from the president's investigative team, 10.5 billion arrived in November and cleared the port in January, February, and March. So for Mr. Gibson to sit on this public forum and lie that the Unity Party infused 16 billion, I want him to correct that number and apologize to the Liberian people, or tell us where he 16 billion came from that was infused by the Unity Party government when it happens.
Okay, let me respond like this. It seems that George Lobo does not understand the dynamics of the importation of money in our country. The money you are talking about was not initiated in November. The money you're talking about was initiated over time. Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and her old man, Joseph Boakai, they decided to bring in this amount of money. The money arriving in March of George Weah administration does not mean that he take responsibility for the printing of the money. I want you to get that straight. That even is not a question for the viability of the opposition. You just making me to give you answer that will be so pleasant to the listeners who are here. we're talking about the viability of the opposition. This opposition is not even up to the task of replacing the people they are accusing. They are corrupt, they are rude, they are desperate, they are conceited, they are confused, they are unable to even govern their own parties. That is the issue. The issue is not the money that came, the issue is the viability. How can you take somebody who made one mistake and bring somebody who made 5 mistakes? This is unfortunate. We can't do that until they can fix themselves, until they can until they can learn how to govern their own party, until they can agree among themselves. 4 parties, they're causing each other. You cause already. I mean,
thank you, Mr. Gibson. You made that point already.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, let me bring in my first caller. And our first caller, your number is
Yes, hello.
Hello, go ahead. What your name and where you calling from?
Thank you so much. This is Willem Bro on the line from France.
Oh, bienvenue. Comment ça va?
Ça va très bien, merci beaucoup.
D'accord. Your question or comment, sir?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment, and maybe I will send a question to my own brother Lobo. With respect to the topic under discussion about what are the opposition or viable alternative to replace the Weah-led government, in my opinion, I will say no, big no. The reason is simple. In politics, you change political game change based on dispensation. After every 10 years, let's take for example, the politics that was played 2005, where people were bathing toilets, for people providing hand pumps, they make you it was not even hand pump, for example, 2005 when you can talk plenty. I know they know you are plenty talker, they made you representative. 2011, our politics changed. They were looking at people building hand pumps and other things, they make you representative. 2017, that politics changed. So the current politics, the opposition who said they were educated and they claimed that the uneducated people took power, they came in with desperation, which Brother Jeru was just saying. Now, why we make them not to be the better alternative is when they take office, what they're doing now, people will do even 10 times than what they are doing now, setting the pace of life. Let's take, for example, the printing of surplus money from the UP-led government. The immediate withdrawal of the peacekeepers from Liberia. In my opinion, the peacekeepers are going to remain 2 years in Weah administration before they go. Okay. Then the desperate policy they are playing, extremely lying. That is a practice they're putting in the young people who are trying to do politics like them. Okay. That generation will do worse than what they think. And let me make small correction.
Please conclude if you have your question.
Let me make small correction on say, hello?
Yeah, conclude. We have other callers.
Yeah. Since Master, during 2011, the casket we told, it was the time when they sent people at the Unity Party-led government, sent the police and the army at our party headquarters when they killed my own comrade, James Gray. He died that time in the compound there. When he died, that's the time we put that casket in solidarity of our comrade.
Okay.
I dare you, if today,
just
the
ask your
citizen
question.
government are going to even, hello?
Ask your question. We are out of time.
Thank you. So we never told casket just out of the blue sky. And let me ask Brother Lobo. Brother Lobo, it seems that if you look at yourself, if you look at yourself good, I don't think you are a political person. But let me ask you, you think with this politics you people are playing, When you come to power, you're able to maintain the tension you are building up. When another people start to get double of that tension, what would be the remedy you people will put in place to control it?
Thank you. Mr. Lobo, your question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me answer the question. He started off with talking about excess money and that of Mr. Gibson's understanding of the money. The reason Mr. Gibson, and yes, what happened? When the money came into the country, Mr. Gibson, it was printed to replace the legacy note. It was not brought into the country to be infused on the market. No. What happened was, because of the CC government desperation, they decided to infuse the money on the market, and they did not replace the legacy note. So you have today the legacy note on the market and the new notes that came to replace it on the market. That is why it's causing the surplus of money outside. So let's get that clear. Because had they done what the money was intended to be used for, we would not have excess amount. It was supposed to replace the legacy note. On regards to his question, here's one thing I would say to you. We are not building tensions. I continue to hear people saying that the opposition is inciting violence. We have not been inciting violence. I think the history is clear. The collaborating political parties supported COP during one of Liberia's most peaceful assembly of over 10,000 Liberians, where we gathered to petition it. So there is never in the history of any of the leaders of the city for proposing or supporting violence. We all have been very clear on maintaining the peace. But when it comes to what mechanism we put into place, should in case something like this was to happen on our time, the very first thing I can tell you, that if the CPP-led government emerges victorious, there's in no way that we are going to create an economy for our people where people will be working 10 months without being paid. There's in no way where we will have the president who will be going on wasteful spending trips without no economic return. Any of those four guys within the CPP understand what it means when we talk about cutting wasteful spending. We cannot be talking cutting wasteful spending when you take it from 15 million to 21 million. So that is not the type of cut the CPP type of government will bring to power. And one thing you can be assured is that we will make sure that the rule of law is protected. We will allow Liberians to exercise their political freedom. They will be allowed to express themselves freely. We will not infringe on anybody's right, because we believe that once the government is doing the right thing, the government will never be intimidated. We saw it with Ellen Johnson's Salif time. The CDC protest for us how many times? The UP government was never deterred. They continued to move on with their deliberations and making sure that they were providing for the Liberian people. So you can rest assured our opportunity.
Can I respond to that?
For the opposition, we have made our position very, very clear. What we want to do is to transform Liberia. We want to create a.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yeah, sure.
To work and move on from there.
Let me just tell you something, William, bro. In the history of Liberia, since my experience for the last 30 years and before 30 years, 1978, I started following political parties. There is no political dispensation where opposition were so disjointed. And these people, they are innate consummate of violent character. Let me give you an example. These people, they just issued a statement, for God's sake. The government of Liberia closed down a radio station that has not been registered for nearly 2 years and has been illegally operating. And the government said you are operating illegally, and they closed it down. The collaborating political party condemned the government for taking a legal step. Let me flip it around. Let's say it was not Roots FM, and it was one Lebanese party or Lebanese businessman whose store or whose business had not been registered for 2 years, and these collaborative political parties find out that the Weah administration have failed to take action on this Lebanese or business entity that have been operating illegally in the country. Don't you think they will tear this government to pieces? These people are fake. They don't know what they want. And because they don't know what they want, they don't know how to get what they are looking for. And that's the problem. And when they continue this violence, They say violence beget violence. What they are doing is a direct instruction to other people. When they take power, there will be violence at their hands that they will be unable to accommodate. And that's why we continue to call them out, so they can leave these violent attitude, the violent words, the conceited attitude, the desperate attitude. They should forget about them and be a normal opposition who will bring. How many of them have done research? I want to ask all of you who are listening today. Tell me one political party that have made research on government activities and come up with data. None.
Let me go to my next caller. 6366.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, go
Hello?
ahead. Your name and where you
Yeah,
from?
my name is Desmond Finley. I'm calling from Rhode Island.
All right.
George, how are you doing today?
Liberia. Your question, please.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Desmond, can you be a little bit audible?
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Speak a little louder,
Yeah,
please.
very well. Good.
Hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, I just wanna say thank you for your show and thank you for having these people on. I'm gonna make a few comments. I don't have any question because I don't know where the debate started. I actually know where it started, but I don't know where it ended when Massa took over the debate and made it so personal about our ANC standpoint. I really like what Mr. Jeru put out there today. The CDC has a lot of problems. Mr. Jeru did admit that, but which was very, very important. I think the fundamental issues that we have in here is if you're a collaborating party and you cannot formulate and coordinate yourself within a short period of time, yet you still want people that's in government in 18 months to stretch you to fix problems that last over 14 years of war plus 12 years of mismanagement. You don't give people 18 months to solve that kind of problem. It's 14 years of war plus 12 years of mismanagement. That cannot be resolved over 18 months period of time, right? So I really like what Mr. Jeru put out there, and some of the facts he spilled wasn't true, because I can guarantee it was more than 150 people that went to Yeke Koloba house. That's a fact. That's not a myth. That's not a joke. You know how to go there to get Yeke out of his own house. So Mr. Jeru is wrong on that point. But to allude to the point that this government is doing everything right is completely wrong. But the opposition have a bigger problem than the government has. Because once they stay split like this, George, you'll be president again. And that's all the ruling party needs. A little dysfunction in the CPP, and automatically Joseph Boga sleeps everywhere he goes. He slept at this other event again, then when are we going to make him president? When's that he'll wake up? That's all my point is. All right.
All right. Thank you so much.
Can I respond to something he said?
Yeah, please. And Mr. Caller, I don't like your comment about Massa that she made a debate personal. I just wanted to put that in the air.
No, yeah, I know you don't like it. I know you don't like it, but I'm not saying things because I don't want to say things so people like it or they don't like it. I'm looking at the facts.
All right.
I'm not actually asking one person a question and asking another person a different question and then coming by making it personal. That's not how you moderate debates. Everybody should get the same question.
Okay, let me go to Mr. Lobo.
Mr. Caller, I was not personal. I think I was just playing my role. I'm entitled to ask two questions
thank you.
each, and I did.
Thank you.
I
Mr.
agree to disagree.
Okay.
Thanks
Mr.
for
Lobo.
calling.
Yeah, Dennis. Very simple. He said we have a bigger problem. He said we have a bigger problem in the CPP. I think it's very, very clear. I really thought that this conversation, like I said before, was about discussing the issues basically. But here's what I say with us. We are the framework, the day for signing it is the 15th of November. So I don't see what a hurry. Elections are now until 2023. I don't see why they need that people think that we disorganized. The CDC were opposition when they do form the coalition, right of late. For us, at least we are going to form a collaboration months and years before election. But I want to state something here very clear.
Mr. Lobo, before you go, do you understand that putting the cart before the horse, so you understand their concern, right? That you didn't put.
No, they have, listen, these are valid concerns, Dennis, that they're expressing. But that is why we respond to them by telling them that, listen, folks, four political parties coming together, there have to be a framework. There have to be a legal document that binds them together. So what you need to do is wait and see what the document will say. Because in that document, it's supposed to clearly state how your selection or elections of candidates will be done. Because we will only be represented by one candidate. So let's wait, let them compile these documents, and then we can begin to chastise the CPP or say what we want to say about the CPP. But once again, I want to be very, very clear here. Very, very clear. It is clear indeed that this discussion tonight, I think the Liberians know the facts. Whether you make it personal, whether you make it about somebody, the people understand what is happening in Liberia and they see the facts. And we have been clear with where we stand. Nobody in the opposition is desperate. If we in the opposition were desperate, when the Costa radio station was closed, the opposition expressed dissatisfaction. Don't forget that Costa comes from the ALP. The ALP is within the CPP. You cannot accuse us of being disorganized. Then when we speak for one of our members, then you say, oh no, they are desperate, they are greedy. No, we are only speaking out in solidarity with that of the ALP member, which happens to be here in Costa. The same Costa your government gave $5,000 to. If that was your clue, you forgot that. Let's just point out this inconsistency and deception and lies. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to get into back and forth argument. I will just point out a correction on Joseph Boakai, sir. I was in Minnesota for our convention. We had a business section on Saturday. The ambassador walked in. The business section started at 10. The ambassador sat there throughout. That's why I posted many pictures as he was taking notes. So the statement of he was sleeping, it is not factual. But I will try. I know that sometimes people turn to the humor. But a man who was capable enough to represent Liberia at the United Nations General Assembly, who attended state visit in China, France, and the United States, and served as vice president, is 110% competent to be president of the Republic of Liberia. And that is my response.
Thank you. And
I want to respond to that. I want to respond to that, putting the cart before the horse. And that's a very valid point here. And that's one of my points I've been making since then. Here is four parties, just four presidents. They are incapable of coming with a document for the last 6 months they've been together. Just write a document how we are not capable of doing it. But they want president to solve the state of governance in Liberia. These four political parties in 6 months, they have not even known each other to the extent that they will be insulting each other in the same group. But the one president, we have to have all the cabinet ministers and all the representatives, and all the senators and everybody. For president, we have to harness everybody to be on a one unity board. This opposition been together for 6 months. They are incapable of knowing who's supposed to be there. And most importantly, can you imagine people who say they are serious to replace a corrupt government? They have Dr.nya as their chairman. Are you kidding me, guys? Look, let's stop this chicanery. You say George Weah government is corrupt and you make Dr.nya your chairman of the collaborative political party. The man who stole our money and made himself rich. And you made him the man who the TRC said has corrupted the country in 7 different crimes. And you made him your chairman, you want to replace George Weah because George Weah is corrupt? What kind of, what is that? Is it now a bias? That's why I said they are spread.
Thank you, Mr. Jerome.
They are selfish and they are people of serving a rival opposition.
Thank you. Masa, go ahead.
Before we take the next caller, let's just go to take some questions from online because I've been following online too.
Sure.
So I have one question here from Emmanuel D. Ayomano. And our question is directed at Josh. Josh, Emmanuel wants to know what are the lapses in the current government that the CPP has recognized, and how are they going to be corrected?
Very, very clear. The CPP, through one of our leaders, Mr. Cummings, we've identified wasteful spending, rampant corruption, appropriation of public resources, distrust in the financial sector, complete collapse of the government sector, institutions being dead. We've also identified the lack of rule of law. So when it comes to how we intend to strengthen it, we've come to realize that the government of the CDC-led government of Georgia does not understand what it means to be fiscally disciplined, does not know what it takes to be financially sustainable. When we talk about accountancy and transparency, we talk about a president who declared his assets and he put a gag stay on it. Up to now, he has been 18 months plus. The president cabinet is yet to declare their asset. The president who took an oath to defend the Constitution, that in itself is a violation of the Constitution. So the CPB decided, and the Zana comments have made it very clear. He said, if you steal in my government, I will put you in jail, I will punish you, you will go through the law, you'll be held accountable. Ambassador Boyka made it very clear. He's been very, very clear on that one of the reasons why as vice president he could not do much is because he did not hire, so he could not fire. But he has made it very clear that given on his track record, this is why he said, throughout public service, I have learned to separate what belongs to the public and what belongs to me. So the CPP, all four of them, we are committed to transparency. We are committed to cutting wasteful spending. Now having our president traveling with 53 men while hospitals are crumbling, while schools are without chairs, we know what needs to be done. So those are some of the problems we've identified. When it comes to the healthcare system, we've identified that the government lacks a comprehensive reform policy to better up the healthcare system for our people. So what did we say? We are talking about ways in which we can attract the best people, provide more resources to make those hospitals efficient and add quality to it. When it comes to the educational system, we also identify that the CDC government or president, do not have a strict, comprehensive educational reform policy. Right. This is why the president can make a pronouncement of free public university, but cannot afford to pay for it. So we have talked about ways we would diversify the economy, which of course the government lacks, because that is why the government is incapacitated. The government ability to generate revenue has shrank, and the government today is in arrears and cannot pay the people because this government is not fiscal.
Thank you.
So we are concerned about that.
Thank you,
Mr. Lobo. All that you have expressed, is there anything written anywhere for us to look at as to how the opposition is going to fix these things?
Listen, Dennis John, let me be honest with you, sir. When you talk about is there anything written, the CPB is coming together. When people come together, the framework first and foremost is the law that binds them together. When we get to 2020 or before 2023, the CPB as a collaboration will then come up with their overall platform for 2023. So I think you want to say we put the horse before the cat, but give us a chance to legally bind ourselves together. And then we move on there.
So Josh, are you telling us that?
Let me respond to that. Let me respond to that.
Who is asking me, because there's so much echo? Who is asking me the question? I want to be so I want to answer. I get directly the question.
I'm gonna ask. Just
okay, go ahead.
To add up to Dennis, are you telling?
Okay, go ahead,
are you telling us that your response to that question is your personal response and not that of the CPP?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Because
yes, what you got to understand, Master. Let me finish now. You asked me a question, I can't answer it, you start interrupting. Let me finish. The reason why I answered the question,
Josh, this is a
debate.
I hope you know that this is a debate, and
but if it's a debate, when people ask questions, you allow the person to answer first.
But
that's what I thought.
I did not end my statement. I did not
constantly interrupting me, Master. I will not get the message out. Let me learn.
Go ahead, but I did not end my statement.
Okay, go ahead, Andy. I will wait for you.
Are you telling this audience that your response to that question, which I think in my view was very, very brilliant, are you telling us that that is your personal response or the Unity Party's personal response to addressing the lapses of this government if they are to get in power today? on it, and is there any kind of documentation that would support that? Because we don't want people just saying things, and at the end of the day, we don't have any form of documentation to hold them accountable for what they said or to the voters.
I think, Massa, I think if you've been paying attention to me, I told you I come from the Unity Party that is part of the city, right? But in my response to many of the questions, you've heard me calling names of Ure, of Cummings, of Weah, and that of Bronsky. It's because some of us, we understand what the four of these guys stand for. We know what they wanted to do. I can tell you what Alexander Cummings' economic policies were. So for me, as a member of the CPP, I can articulate the views of all four of them, and that is what I just did for you. I've been very, very clear. Let me say this again. What you want, what I will ask all Liberians, and let me say this, fellow Liberians, we got to get this right. We're not going to get this in a hurry. Let us allow the CPP to sign that framework that bind them together, and then give the CPP to come up with a valuable platform, agenda for moving the country forward. The good thing about it, we know what each of these guys stand for. All that will be done now is putting it together. I think it's better, instead of having just the Unity Party economic reform policy, now we'll be adding the ANC, the ALP, and that of the LP. So you will be in a better position. But the answer I gave, I guess you said, is a brilliant answer. But that is the stand. Alexander Cummings made it clear he wants to diversify the economy. He talks about low-tech jobs. He talks about tourism sector. He talks about low-skill jobs, investing in agriculture. So Ambassador Weah said the same thing about investment in agriculture, creating jobs to the agriculture sector. So
let me respond to the brother.
Let me finish.
I know he has
No, let me finish my statement before I get.
No, Josh, we have to be coming up, because the more you say something, the more the more we think we
Right.
So I can finish my statement. I get interrupted
because
No, just hold on, Mr. Gibson.
Dennis, let me just say this. I don't want Josh to see my back and forth kind of like personal, or I'm being tough on him. And if I was not a co-host on this platform, I would tell Josh that I'm going to be tough on him, because I personally see Josh as a potential candidate. And somebody who would take over President Weah, his party, or the CPP. So like Gibson said, we have to be able to really be able to ask questions. These people who want to serve us, who see themselves as alternatives, we need to be asking them the questions that they don't want to hear. So that is my role here today as a moderator.
Right.
I'm not for any political party. I would say that I have my own personal opinions for myself.
All right, let me respond to that real quick, and then we can move on.
But let me say this, Josh. So many years ago, we've been hearing political leaders and their supporters, their high-profile supporters coming out to tell us that this is what we plan to do. This is what we plan to do. They go to rally, they say these farm print statements, and at the end of the day, even the CDC were part of that too. At the end of the day, when we give them state power, they don't implement these things. And then when people come to hold them accountable, we don't have any form of documentation to hold these people accountable. So that's what I keep asking you, Josh, is this your personal response to the question, or is it a Unity Party response, or CPP response?
That is what I've said. Once again, the Unity Party is within the CPP. So any response from any one of the CPP members will fill in. But Massa, I want to say this to you, and I want to say thank you very much. I'm deeply humble with the fact that you see me as a potential presidential candidate in such an early stage of this process. I want to say that I'm humble and I'm grateful, and I look forward to the challenge. But I want you to know one thing. I do not take anything personal. I would have loved for the questions, even if the time was just alluded to my one, I would appreciate it. I think you know that. And I'm not afraid of this on the stage. The only thing I want there to be clarity in how the questions is being brought out, because I want what I say today. Let Liberians understand my position. Let Liberians get the clear message, so that today or tomorrow, when they want to hold me,
let me respond to this.
No,
let me respond to the question.
No, I'm coming, Mr. Jerry. I have people here who have been holding the line. Who have been
holding? So I want to ask that question. We want to ask questions.
Yeah, I know, but this is a very important question. I just wanted to respond to it. Then I gave you a chance to go to the line, because this is a very important question.
Right, because you.
But if you want to go to the line, you can go to the line.
Go. I gave you 1 minute to respond. So I can
1 minute is too much. Let me just say that 1 minute is too much. My Lobo has a copybook over the talking points. I don't come here with talking points. I come here to speak reality. Let's look at Cummings. People have no plans. Cummings kicked out Kwame from the party, Dr. Kwame from the party. He has kicked out Remy Gray from the party. He is a tyrant. He is a dictator. He is now owning the party and kicking away anybody who has opposed view or who might be a potential standard bearer in the party. Look at the Unity Party. When Ambassador Joseph Boyka, when he came into the party as standard bearer, he divided the Unity Party, and all of us know this. Unity Party was completely divided. Look at LP. Bromsky. The Bromsky, the Basel man. The chairman, the Basel man. The co-chairman for operation, Basel man. Co-chairman for administration, Basel man. The secretary general of the party, Basel man. These are tyrants. These are dictators. These are people who are self-conceited. These people can replace George Weah because they don't have what it takes. When they get there, they will destroy our country. They will mess our country up. They will kill people. Bernard Euro will have a hate group. Cummings will not allow any opposition because he already told you he's not ready to serve as second to anybody. This is the man who want to replace George Weah. Can you believe that? Again, let me say before I break. Someone say 15 seconds. This is a serious political party group that cannot write a simple document that I look and write in 2 days so they can know what they're going to do. And they keep telling us, we're not putting it together, yo. We're not putting it together, yo. We're trying to put it together. These are serious people. These are people who can replace George Weah. This is a true tale of honesty.
Thank you. And I will come to you to really whether you are actually defending George Weah, but let me
tell it earlier. I said I will be speaking about not defending George Weah or the party. But I'm here to prove that these people are not viable. Then the only way I can prove that people are not viable is to compare them to George Weah. As a I can prove it. But I'm not defending George Weah. George Weah guy who political party and who PR people.
But in other words, George Weah is better. Whatever you are saying. All right. Let me go to 215-397-9625.
Yes. Yes, how you doing, sir? Dennis?
Good. Thank you for waiting for an hour. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. Your question or comment. We have so many callers, so let's be brief. Let's go straight to the point.
Yeah, let's 1 minute. My name is Nelson Gagas. I'm calling you from Philadelphia.
Can you speak a little louder?
Look, I just look, they need Unity Party. This guy over there sitting there defending Unity Party. The party, he said the party has 45 people to take over the country. Look, hear him. The 45 people that put our economy in the toilet, 45 people that left our country 5 million operational fund, 150 million foreign account. They left the country broke. 45 people. Let them shut up. What Unity Party? Hell no. Look, George Nomo, you can lie. I know. If Mata asks you to provide evidence, what are your proofs? And you cannot give
Nelson.
You just say, oh yeah.
Nelson, please respect our guests.
The president.
No, let him go on, Mr. No, Dennis, let him make his point.
Yeah, I want you to make his point now with insult.
Yeah, let me
ask my question.
Go ahead, go ahead, speak the way you want to speak.
Let me ask my question.
Okay.
This guy in studio, George Noble, you can lie. Show us the proof. Where are the evidences that the government is this? The government is that. You say the money came in November and the money got out of the port in January. Where are the facts? Who received the money?
Thank you.
Where can we go to?
All right, let me help you on that. Let me answer that and move on.
Dennis, did you open the caller line? Because I think the people online cannot get him.
Mr. John, let me answer that real quick for you.
There's too much background noise. That's why I
Okay, then we gotta let him go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right.
Stop lying, man. Stop lying. You know the party is their party. You loot the country.
Okay.
Right.
Go ahead, Mr. Lobo.
Can I respond?
Yeah.
All right. First and foremost, Mr. Ja, when someone call, please just let them speak. Let them vent their anger. That's fine. I'm used to that. Leave it. Let's proceed. Okay. But let me say this for the young man. Do yourself a favor. If you don't have it, ask me later on. I will email it to. I will send it to Dennis, and Dennis can send it to you. I will send you the core report.
Give it to Master. Master, ask you for it.
Let me listen.
When you finish talking now, you can drop off.
Let's be responsible now.
Dennis, can you cut the caller off?
Yes, I think Dennis, that's what is happening.
Hello,
Listen
hello.
to you.
Are you guys talking to me?
No, not yet.
Okay,
Oh,
Dennis.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Here's what I say to you. The core report makes it very clear that the money, the 10.5 billion arrived in November, is stated in the documents. The president own thing makes it clear. We also have the slip of those who signed for the money, or the ESU or EPS guys that went for the money. We have that trend. It's there. So I don't think I have to sit there today and go back and forth. But yes, one thing I want to say to this young man who said the Unity Party did nothing. If his understanding is true, let's be very, very factual. What was the size of government? We need to ask the basic question. How much was a registered nurse making prior to Ellen in 2006 or the UP? How much was a medical doctor making in 2006 prior to the Unity Party? And the numbers are very simple. If I will help you to go do some research, I will not read for you. A registered nurse in 2005 was making $15 US. I want you to ask how much they were making in 2018. A medical doctor was making $150. Let's look at education. Under whose administration that the University of Liberia got its largest budget and the students were moved to federal party government, we decided to decentralize educational facilities for the first time in the history of the Republic of Liberia. And Nima County has a community college, Lofa has a community college, Grand Jide have a community college, and Grand Bassa do have a community college. So I don't know where the argument is coming from. Let's look at rules. For the first time, the Fisher Harper Highway was paid. The road from Red Light to Kanta was redone. Okay, we get the road between Kagata and Bomas was paid. The Marshall Highway was paid. The road from Monrovia to Buchanan was paid. So I can't go on and on. Listen, when you talk about the economy, how we left it, it's very, very clear. When we left the country, the Unity Party government did not owe employees 10 months without pay. We did not owe people arrears. We left the government with enough money for you to pay them. What have happened is the CDC-led government infused government payroll with a bunch of partisans. You hire people, you don't have job for them. As a result, it have overburdened your government. When we were in government, the Unity Party government wage bill was 297 million.
Julius.
You came to power, your wage bill became 330 million. The IMF and World Bank consult you. Your current wage bill is 312 million. So I think what we should be discussing here, being fiscally disciplined and financially responsible, is to say, how do we get the wage bill on a 297 million? If you accuse the Unity Party of wasting money, but their wage bill was 297, you who came to stop wasting money, your wage bill should have been under 297, but instead your wage bill is above 300 million. I think this is what you guys should be justifying. not attacking the Unity Party. And let me be very clear.
Mr. Lobo.
Let me finish my point. Dennis,
I want us
the
to.
UP government is out of the picture.
Right.
Okay.
So
And someone talk about 18 months.
Let's leave the Unity Party government. Let's talk about the viability.
But they asked me the question about the Unity Party government, so I responded to it.
Yeah, but the response was.
That was the question, right?
Yeah, but it was a little too long for that. Since we have our topic on a discussion, let me go back to
I have a question on Facebook. You want to take your last caller?
Yeah, let me take this phone line and then we can go to. 548-615-200.
Hello?
Your question or comment?
Hello?
Hello, what's your name and where you calling from?
This is Smith. I'm Smith calling from Boston, Massachusetts.
Smith, welcome. Your question, please. Go ahead, Smith.
Thank you, sir. I have a little concern and a question. And let me start with Mr. Lobo. Thank you, sir. I have a little concern and the issue of him talking about Unity Party all the time. He needs to. The fact that we understand that Unity Party is his party, it's because of Unity Party we are where we are today.
Mr. Smith, yes,
so let him learn how to put that to rest.
Mr.
Let me come to Mr. Gibson and Massa. Yes, sir.
Ask your question, please.
Okay. Mr. Gibson, I want to ask you a question. Okay, my question to Mr. Gibson. When he know that President Weah, before becoming president, served as ambassador on former President Lee, and served as senator for Maserati County for 3 years. Didn't he know that why he was coming into, and he Gibson continue to play the ship, he continue to play the blaming game?
Thank you, Mr. Gibson, and you can.
Thank you very much.
So
Thank you very much. Thank you for the question, my caller. First of all, I'd like to state again, I'm not here to defend the Weah government, but if you ask me a question, since I'm on the debate, I will give my critical analysis of the issue. The Weah administration supposed to be aware that they were coming into a governance politics, that they were going to inherit problem. And it's obvious that they inherited problem. Ellen herself said she left over $1 million, 1.5, between 1.5 and 1.6 million dollars in the bank. That amount, it was not enough to sustain a government wage bill. And I heard Lobo say we left plenty of money in the bank. Those are the dishonesty in the opposition camp that they continue to peddle, and I also don't have the ability to synthesize some of the misinformation. Ellen admitted she left a little bit over $1 million, and he said they left plenty of money there to run the government. I don't know where is that coming from. But having said that, we are supposed to know. The citizens are supposed to know that they were coming into this problem, and they knew they were coming into this problem. And in my own estimation, the government is fighting frantically to get over this problem, but it's a very sticky problem. It's not like any other problem. Ellen sucked the life out of Liberia before she left. She broke down no car. She and her children broke down no car. She broke down almost all the infrastructure. Before she left, nothing was left with the government to operate. At the same time she was leaving, the opposition, the international community was leaving. The United Nations was leaving. All the other international agencies that were bringing in offshore funds, all the companies that were here that were operating under the banner of the United Nations, everybody left. George Weah is left to eat the crust, and the crust has no rice on it. It has no soup. The man is copying the crust that is burned is burned black. And you guys want him to solve a problem that has been created by a former regime in 12 years, you want him to solve it in 20 months. Now, finally, if the opposition cannot put themselves together in
Say what I
6
can in it.
to have a document.
Say what I-
How do they expect the president to solve a problem that was created in 12 years to solve it in 20 months?
Let me answer this. Let me respond to this. Very important question. So let me say this to Mr. Gibson. It's clear that Mr. Gibson came here now based on substance of facts. Mr. Gibson, as an experienced journalist, I expect you to have had this information. The fact that you are sitting here as a critical analyst and misquoting even President Weah, I'm not only disappointed, I'm sorry to say. President Weah, doing the State of the Union address, told the Liberian people that he inherited more than 150 million. So how can you be here today saying 1 million?
Can I call the
Is
German?
this the type of journalist that let me
call
finish.
to a point?
When you spoke, I didn't speak. Let me finish.
Sorry to a point.
Don't interrupt me.
Sorry to a point.
Let me finish my point, sir. Go ahead. Okay, President Weah said 150 million. And one thing some of us, we argue, some of us even said 150 million.
Just told the people,
Did they also
the
include
people that said George Weah said. I never quoted George Weah here today about money being left in the bank.
No, sir. Okay, let me finish, sir. You
So
probably
you
what
didn't
you
tell
need
the
to do,
people,
listen, let me say. No, that's not what I said. Don't misquote me. I'm here. Let me say what I said. I will say it for you to hear it. I said you misquoted President Weah. As a professional journalist, you just lied.
I did not
Because
quote him.
had you listened to the state, let me finish, sir. Stop interrupting me.
Sorry, go
Let me
ahead.
finish.
I'll respond
Okay?
to it.
You just doing it over. You need to stop it now. Okay? I call you out as a professional journalist who claim to have the facts, and as a critical analyst, it's embarrassing and disappointing that you did not even listen to the State of the Union address when the president took over. Because President Weah at no point in time said that he inherited 1.5 million. So how can President Weah inherit 1.5 million but allocated 500,000 to his wife in the recast budget? The recast budget that was done, the wage bill went up by $9 million. When people come here, Liberians, I hope you all know the type of journalists you're listening to. You keep talking about how do they expect George to do something in 18 months. Let me help you to this, sir. When a government take over, there's a reason why the president is asked for his 90 days action plan. Your 90 days action plan, it is what will be used to get the ball rolling. It is what will be used to set the tone upon which your government will proceed. But unfortunately for the CDC of George Weah stayed in power over 9 months without a plan. George Weah released his plan in September, which was the Popo agenda for development and prosperity. Unfortunately, that plan died a few weeks ago. So the notion that 18 months, and let me help you as a professional journalist. It is sorrowful that Julius Manabio in Sierra Leone, he took less than 6 months to institute economic reform. The IMF was not speaking to Sierra Leone, but because the IMF, in 10 months, the IMF began to talk to Sierra Leone. Manabio was granted $40 million loan the other day. The people said, no, it's no longer going to be loan, it's great. Let's go to Tanzania. The John Mogafani take 12 months to institute economic reform and call wasteful spending. No, when you come to power and competent and no one needs to be done, like I've been saying about Cummings, Bronsky, Waka, and Yuri. That is what we bring to the table. Let's go to Ethiopia. Prime Minister Adeyi, in less than 10 months, the man instituted some of the best economic reform. The IMF granted him $1 billion budget support. And you are sitting here and telling us about 18 months. Did they take Nana Addo-Kufuor in Ghana 18 months to turn the Ghanaian economy around?
Thank you, Mr.
What
Lobo.
kind of excuse here, sir?
Thank you.
As a professional critical thinking journalist.
Dennis, I want to go back to Gibson because.
Can I respond?
Yeah, yes. Go ahead. 30 seconds.
I just want to respond to the thing he said because he just gave a lot of misinformation right now.
Go ahead.
With the misinformation.
Go ahead. You have 30 seconds.
30 seconds? Okay, then go to the call.
All right.
Okay, I have a question to Gibson, a comment and a question. So Gibson came on this platform and he told us that he has no position. That's how I'm going to call him. He has no position, but then as we go further in the debate, we are saying that Gibson is taking a side. Basically, he's presenting himself as a government mouthpiece. That's it. And yes, my concern, my concern, Gibson. Okay, you are telling us that this government came into power because this government is unable to do a lot of things based on what Madam Salif did. That this government is unable to do what they need to do. And so that the opposition or the collaborating political parties should give the government a chance. But this government has been in power now for almost 3 years, we can say, going to 3 years. So Gibson, are you telling us that this government came into power unprepared, unready to foster the causes of the Liberian people after they told us that they were coming into power for change? They came under the banner of change, obviously. So when they came to power again, Gibson, this government, we continue to hold Madam Salih government responsible for some of the holes that this government found herself in. But then this government failed to audit Madam Salih. Why do you think that this government failed to audit Madam Salih? And right because they failed to audit Madam Salih, in the twinkle of an eye, we heard about a $25 million going missing. We saw President Weah breaking down his homes. We heard about a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of corruption has been going on in this government. Why do you think they failed to hold Madam Salih government accountable for their part of the corruption charges?
Thank you very much. I know this question will remove a little bit away from the viability of the opposition to take over from Weah, but it will help our audience to understand. Again, I'm not defending Weah. Before I can prove that this opposition cannot replace Mr. Weah as a viable opposition, I have to prove what Mr. Weah is doing and what they are not doing. And so if my comments suggest that I'm defending Mr. Weah, it's unfortunate, and I'm sorry if people understand it that way. But I made a disclaimer that I'm not defending, but I have to make comments based on the comparison. Now, coming to your question, Massa, who doesn't know that this government has a mountain of problems? I know. I talk about it. The government has made several mistakes. First of all, Ellen broke down her house and remodeled it. So that is not a strange thing for government to remodel people's house. In doing the transition time, they broke down Judy Bryan house and remodeled it. Even the house.
We are talking about change, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to give you analysis of the issue. Breaking down the house and remodeling it is not necessarily wrong, but there are so many things that the president may have done that was not necessary, or they were, according to especially the houses that the people are referring to, the 16 unit. Some people say it was built before he came to power. Some people say it was built immediately. I don't have evidence to that. Number two, we also look at the money that was missing, the $25 million. The intention of the government at the time supposed to have been to mark up the excess dollar, the excess Liberian notes. And that didn't happen. The National Bank governor chaired the entire process, even though the finance minister was the chairman of the technical economic management team. He was the chairman. But if you look at the report, the Crow report and the government final report, if you look at the audit report, the entire thing was turned over to the National Bank, the front of the central bank governor, who appointed committees to go and map out and everything. And everything went wrong, Massa. Everything went wrong. We blame the government. The government is supposed to take fiduciary responsibility for all of that. And I know that. But the question that we came to respond to today is everything that has happened to George Weah, we are looking for a replacement. People will put in there that will not make the same mistake that George Weah has made. That will not be dictator. That will not be corrupt people. That's what the question is today. And the question is, Master, for you to sit down and answer honestly. Do you think if you put Bernard Ure in George Weah's place, Bernard Ure will not be corrupt more than George Weah? My answer will be no. And my answer would be that George Weah is better in terms of being corrupt than Bernard Ure is going to be corrupt, because he has already stolen a lot of money from the Liberian people and made himself rich, and he will still steal more.
And some might also argue, Mr. Gibson, that when George Weah was in government as a senator, I mean, he works as a senator as well.
Good.
And he also works as an ambassador for Mohammed Ali. So what was his legacy then?
Good. Now, I'll come into that next. There are two things I left for me to talk about. So George Weah was ambassador. It was a nominal position. All of us know. It was a nominal position. It was not a mainstream government position. Peace ambassador.
It's your opposition with our legacy. Are you telling us that George Weah was getting paid to just
a nominal position? I didn't say it was not a position. I said it's a nominal position. It's not a mainstream government position. Mainstream means it was not Ministry of Finance, it was not Justice Ministry, it was not any of the.
We can't even hold him accountable for his.
No, we can. But we don't have anything. The Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration, they said they conducted an audit. We don't know what happened to the audit. Whether the man stole money.
Let's go to his senatorial position. He's representing the entire.
I don't want for us to go away from. I don't want for us to go away from the crush of the topic tonight.
Okay, so let me align the topic.
Right. So I want to provide further information on this particular subject real quick. There's something missing here real quick. I want to connect it.
Hold on, Mr. Lobo. I think we are moving away.
No, but let's clarify this. No, we can't just leave the people question. Let's correct the facts so the audience are not misinformed. What happened?
No, hold on. Before you correct the facts, I just want us to redirect.
Mr. Lobo, you just said
hold on. I just want us to redirect the conversation tonight before we go down to litigating what has happened already. As of today,
what happened with this government? Let me go to tonight. Let me make something clear. Yes, what happened?
Yeah.
Refuse for me to call you. Now you are interrupting me. You see why the opposition cannot even.
No, I was not interrupting, but Dennis was speaking.
No, yeah.
Let me correct.
Wait, I'm going to mute you both. To the question we came here tonight to discuss. George Weah government, the reason we are talking about is the opposition viable to replace it, because take it or leave it, George Weah is going to leave and somebody else is going to come in. Far too long our opposition have not been vetted. So this time we want to bring the opposition up and discuss it. And I have too many people here that have been waiting to discuss this question.
Okay, so, Dennis, let me answer the question related to that.
Yes, Dennis.
I did not finish, but you can go ahead.
Okay, let me answer. Let me finish this part real quick. Yes, what happened?
So Lobo, you think that it was necessary for me to call you to a point and interrupt you, or now you are interrupting? It looks nice.
I asked Dennis to speak, sir. You want to speak?
All right. There's a caller on the line. Caller, your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, this is Gibson. I'm calling from Minnesota.
All right, Gibson, go ahead. Your question or comment?
Yeah, I listened to Mr. Lobo and I listened to the other guest. I think his name is Mr. Gibson. The topic on the discussion is very interesting, and I think that Mr. Lobo, we are looking towards the direction of improving the living standard of our people back home. But for Mr. Lobo to come on air, I'm not in support of George Weah either. It's like George Weah came into power to have the continuation of the suffering and the humiliation of their own people. Some are working in Ellen Johnson-led government. Corruption was at its peak at the Freeport. Corruption. People were smuggling different stuff at the Freeport. We all know that. Even the fiscal policy, when it comes to from health, road construction, every sector of a government has corruption. So George Weah can Mr. George Weah, George Lobo cannot come on air and openly defend Ellen-led government. When Steve
let's move away from the Ellen-led government. Can the opposition we have now credible Bible to replace Weah? That's the place.
No. Yeah, that's the question I was about to ask. Before I ask the question, what I want to say is that the opposition is not credible enough to replace Weah. Reason for that is that they are not showing any tangible expectation or results for Liberian people right now. Liberian people are suffering for almost everything: health, education, food, electricity, water. Nothing is tangible right now. People are calling their family overseas almost every day. What are they doing substantially to prove to the people that when they get in power, they are going to do better? Nothing. The only platform they are putting towards Liberian people are their qualifications. Nobody cares about qualification. Nobody cares about what school you go to. People are talking about their life school and what is going to happen on them tomorrow. That's my question. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So let me respond to it.
So Dennis, do you want
Let me respond to the question posed to me, Massa.
Okay, because I have people online.
But let me finish this. Let me respond.
And let's be brief now. We have gone 2 hours, so let's be brief.
Yeah, but let me say this real quick. Before I get to this, I want to clear something. I can't keep allowing people to just spill out lies and remove. Mr. Gibson said that there was no audit. Massa asked him, why didn't the CDC government audit? Here's the fact. When George Weah took over, let me finish, sir. No, but you listen, I said Massa asked about audit. I told you, I said Massa asked about audit. Can you let me finish my statement? Just hold on. I don't worry.
Go ahead.
When Massa, what happened? When George Weah took over, there was an audit done at Noka. The document was presented to President Weah. Once again, President Weah showed his incompetency, his ability, his lack of judgment. He has those documents. He has not made a decision. Mr. Gibson tried to explain to us about the $25 million. And once again, he did not understand it. He could not bring clarity to it. The $25 million that was used in the infusion process up to today's date is yet to be accounted for. Finance Minister Samuel 12. You talk about it. Now, of that money, 15.5 million was used up to the time Court get that report. So that information is there. As a journalist, I expected you to read that document and have those basic facts. So let's get to the main question right now.
Right.
Here's one thing I will say to the guy who just asked the question with regards to the opposition. We remain committed to moving Liberia forward. I heard a young man talk about tangibles. When you refer to tangibles, those are things you can see. The people who have not been in power, you will not be able to see anything physically. Whatever they present to you will be documentation. Yeah. When you use the word tangible, it has to be something that you can physically see. So it will not be prudent to ask the CPP that is yet to even contest an election at CPP or win an election and say, what are the tangibles? What we have offered solutions to many of the problems that have been created by this government. We have offered recommendations. It has been done by Comis. It has been done by URE. It has been done by Waka. And that is what we can do. What we have said is, you are doing it the wrong way. But when this is how it should be done. So that is why you should take and judge us based on that. And when it comes to my unity party, like you said, I've been very, very clear. I'm glad and I'm proud. As a Liberian, I belong to an institution. I do not come in the public forum and shy away from the institution I'm part of. This is how you know that regardless of what it is, I can identify the problem, but I'm proud to say I'm a unity party president. I was before, I am now, and will remain forever. So let that be clear. And I will defend the unity party using the facts any day.
Thank you. Again,
you want me to respond?
Yeah,
respond. Let us really redirect this conversation.
Yeah, I have to redirect because that's what I want to do right now.
Go ahead.
Direct it. Let me just first say here to Mr. Lobo. Since I came here, I never asked you what's your profession, because it's not important. Your opinion, your analysis on issue is important. You have called my profession 7 times. That's a sign of weakness. That's personal attack. Discuss the issue and forget about, well, I'm a journalist. I don't understand this. I don't do this. No, let's discuss the issue. But having said that, I'm told that this is how you do it, to be disrespectful and a personal attack. But I didn't come here for personal attack. I never personally attacked you here. And you have personally attacked me 7 times. I just want to tell you that this is a weak way of debate. Let me redirect the issue here. The problem is
go ahead, when you finish, respond. Because no, you cannot, when you throw an attack to me in a debate.
Go ahead, Mr. Chero.
The issue we are discussing today is how we can replace a George Weah administration that, quote unquote, is a problem government that has corruption, that is not good, that is making mistakes, and that is inept, that is not manageable. We want people who will replace the government to do the job. As far as I have looked at situation, we don't have one political leader right now who we think can be credible to even replace George Weah, because they are all tainted. They are all liars. And they are so desperate, so they encourage violent attitude. So when they get there, the product of their action will crumble their government, will crumble their administration. And that is the point we're trying to make here. So before this opposition element can be viable, they have to change their attitude. For example, communists should stop telling people that somebody won an election if they did not win. That's number one. That was a very, very violent instigation comment. The intention was to tell the Liberian people that the Election Commission had cheated for the CDC, and so they would rise up against the administration. Number 2, they should put a leash on their representative Yeke Koluba, who lies like he drink water in his living room. Then the image he got will not corrupt the CPP. Number 3, Bernard Ure should be removed as chairman of the CPP because he is so dirty, that he is so corrupt that he cannot represent a viable institution. The man lied, he can steal, he can curse, he stole our money, he became rich, and he is now being indicted with 7 crimes, financial crime, by the TRC. And by the time we establish a war crime code, Bernard Ure will be marching he will be the first to go to jail. Now, who is a political party conglomeration? They are looking up to him for leadership. How can you look up to a man who is criminal and you say
Thank you, Mr. Jeru.
All right, Mr. Jeru, real quick here. You said
you're not going to be quick. You know you're not going to be quick. No,
let me be very quick.
Let me go to Masa. Masa, you say you have a question.
Yes, I do. So I try to take down a few points from Gibson.
The question
I know when we came on live, we are actually looking at the opposition as an alternative, whether they are a viable alternative to the ruling party. And if you will agree with me that when Madam Salih was in power, we were also looking at the CDC party, whether or not they could be a viable alternative to Madam Salih. And I'm pretty sure, Gibson, you will agree with me that CDC came into power because of the frustration. The Liberian people did not sit to think that whether CDC was a viable alternative or not, but they wanted change. And when every time people yearn for change, they are looking at the person who have not been given the opportunity yet to see whether they can produce the change that they need. So now we have CDC who has been given the opportunity to produce that change. And we are seeing a lot going on in the CDC government. And I'm pretty sure you have already addressed some of them. And you agree with a lot of things that are going on bad in the CDC government. And so now we see the same Liberian people, they are seeing the opposition, some of the opposition candidates as a viable alternative to the CDC. So even this going election, the Maserati election is also a proof that indeed the people in Maserati County, they are tired with the CDC leadership in Maserati County. So yeah, I just wanted you to think on all these things as we hold the opposition or the CPP accountable for their actions that's going on. But also,
okay. Thank you very much, Master. Let me respond.
My question ain't come yet. My question ain't come yet. I just want you to think about those things as we hold the opposition political parties accountable for their actions as an institution going on, and also as the holding the CDC party, who has control over everybody now in Liberia, accountable for their actions. So their actions will carry a higher weight than the opposition political party when it comes to decision making. So let's keep that in mind. And now to the question from one Musa Johnson on Facebook. He said, Gibson, look at the first 5 phases of Weah government. Do you think they have any necessary capital to pull international support?
Who are the phases?
The 5 phases of Weah government, we are looking at the, how you call it, the finance ministry. We are looking at the, I'll just pick 5 important places. Yeah,
All right.
I'm just saying now. No, because when you look at Ambassador Weah,
let him answer. Go ahead.
Let me respond to
the
that.
foreign minister.
You know, Masa, these people who ask the question, they don't read, they don't listen to news, they don't observe. The press secretary on my show today, he made mention of 3 different projects that are starting as being sponsored by Japan, by China, by India. Just today, 3 projects are in operation in Monrovia, in Liberia today, that have been sponsored by Japan, by China, by India. And somebody come on the show and ask whether the first 5 phases can bring in money. The issue of any governance in Liberia, first of all, let's look at the governance system. It's a presidential court. Everything revolves around the president. Every negotiation that goes on, if it does not meet the approbation of the president, there's a possibility that such negotiation may not survive. Doing early administration, in 3 months, Ellen traveled 73 times. I was still in Monrovia. I wrote that story, Lee's story. In 3 months, Ellen traveled 73 times. And we stopped counting. Because Ellen wanted to land herself into the eyes and ears and mouth and laps of the donors. And George Weah is doing the same thing. It is not about the finance minister. If a finance minister goes anywhere, the first question they're going to ask, who is the president? They will call that president, they will ask. So the main issue is, President George Weah, can you bring in money? Yes, he has brought in money. The kind of money that George Lobo are looking for, they're not the money he has brought. They want 500 million.
Us that these people are just sitting at their different positions and waiting to get paid? When George Weah brings in money, they get paid. They cannot get out there to kind of pull in resources for their different offices and ministry, or even the Liberian people.
No.
Is that what you're telling us?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, when I traveled with President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf in Italy in 2006, when I traveled with Ellie in 2007, actually 2007, what we did, we carried 17 delegates. Out of all the deputy minister, senators, and all of you, you know what happened there? Well, when there, the negotiation was headed by these ministers, and they were headed in sections. And then at the end of the day, at the final decision making, Ellie came in to sign. That's what government does. I know George Loban, I'm not very close to this kind of thing, but I have traveled with the president more than several times, and I've seen negotiations, how they went on. I have worked with president, with ministers, and I know how the operations go on. So this president is not an exception. Ellie traveled 73.
All right, can I respond to all
So do you agree that the failures of this president is a plus for the opposition party?
I'm sorry?
Do you agree that the failures of this government is a plus for the opposition?
Every failure of a government is a plus for the opposition. What matters today? What matters today? What matters today? This is the problem we are looking at. And that's the question we are discussing. This government is making mistake. Do we have people who can do better? End of the question. Viable replacement?
That's a question.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Master. Master, that's response to your question.
Okay.
The president can make mistake. This
Mr.
government
Dennis.
makes mistake. But we do not have
Mr.
the people
Dennis.
Hold
who
on.
can
Let
stand
you
as
land.
viable opposition, who can replace this government and make their sound decision. Because even in themselves, they cannot make sound decision in their own party. How can they run a government when they can't even run their own parties?
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I have people online who have been waiting for an hour.
Mr. Dennis, over 3 minutes, let me respond. He's been asked over 3 different questions. Let me respond. He made comments with my name, and let me clarify some things.
Go ahead.
All right. Yes. So the very first thing, Mr. Gibson, like you just said again, that I do not know what it means to be in government meeting. You've traveled with the president. So then you say, I call your qualification. You yourself keep bringing yourself up every time you make a statement. You first started your intro here, boasting about your 30 years of experience, how you are a critical thinker and a critical analyst journalist. So I'm only repeating what you said. I didn't go checking for your qualification. You just said again, you travel with the president. I've never traveled with a president, so I don't know how negotiations are done. Now, when I call you on negotiation again, then you will say, oh, I'm questioning your credential. So let me clear that. I'm only restating what you said. I didn't know if you were a journalist, whatever your profession was. You said it here. You're a critical thinker, and you have 30 years of experience. That is why I was restating, just to clear that. I do not attack personality. I stick to the issue. But let me get something very clear on my question with regards to your comment. George Weah continues to travel. According to you, there are projects ongoing in Liberia. In one of my questions that you did not answer, I asked you to give us some of the projects undertaken by this government. And I was even clear. I said that I've created 5,000 jobs, 5,000 new jobs. You could not list one of them. You just told Odena there's a point. What is the size of the project? How many Liberians have been informed? Those are the type of information any journalist should give to the people. That this project is going on to this place. It costs this much. This is what it will be done. This is the benefit. This is the economic benefit. You also alluded to any trip she made. I'm glad you talk about it. When Madame Sali was traveling, you mentioned her delegate size, delegates of 17. When President Weah went to China, he took over 50 people to China. So it is very, very clear. This is a government-owned problem. And you keep referring to the CPP. You mentioned Alexander Cummings' name today. It seemed like you really came with talking points. Calling Cummings a liar. You mentioned the issue in District 15 more than 5 different times today back in camp. How Cummings were calling for violence. And never have I heard Cummings calling for violence. Let me finish my point. He spoke for a while. Let me finish.
Now.
You call Bernard Yure a criminal over 10 different times today. You keep saying the CPP are a bunch of desperate people. So in all fairness, you have attacked the CPP leaders more than we've attacked you. And we just want to set the record straight. You have no reason to attack any of these guys. They have served with credibility and with distinction. And any of those guys elected as president would do better than George Weah. That is our position. And that is why we remain in
George
powerful
Lobo,
alternative.
Thank you. Let me go to the lines. Let me go to the lines of 701, you have 5729. Caller,
yes.
Your name and where you calling from?
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, my name is Delano Tomasa, and I call you from North Dakota. How you doing?
I'm great. Delano, we're trying to be brief now, so you have 30 seconds. Your question or comment?
Anyway, Lobo, then, but I just took all the time. Anyway, no problem. But the issue is, I think it's just clear, and what I noticed, I don't think Lobo is fair to the discussion. It's just simple thing. We are looking for alternative, but not just any alternative. There's a word that you people put in there, viable. And once we take that war into consideration, viable alternatives to the current administration, then we'll serve the listening audience very well. How can we look at Joseph Newman Boakai, my own papa, to be viable when he said the recent capacity as vice president for 12 years? You're talking about $25 million for mop-up exercises, but they gave him $30 million. Colonel Gaddafi gave Ellen and Joseph Newman Boakai $30 million only to just grow rice in Weah, which of course nobody know about it. $30 million grow rice in Weah, exclusively just rice. The vice president and Madam Salih, they squandered that particular money. A single rice grain cannot be located in Weah. Then you sit in studio and say viable alternative.
Thank you.
Joseph Newman Boakai, viable alternative. You guys need to be very serious in this place. You look at the person Benenai Ure, if you want a viable alternative, you take Benenai Ure, a notorious criminal that has been buttressed by the TRC,
Thank you, Color. You got
and chair the CPP to be a viable alternative to George Weah. Nobody, you guys are not serious.
Thank you, Color.
You guys need to think twice.
Let me answer that question.
Thank you, Color.
Thank you.
Mr. Lobo, just let me go to my next caller. Just write it down. The next caller, you are calling from 763-7586.
Hello, my name is James P. Wilson, calling from Minnesota.
Your question or comment?
All right. Probably I don't have a question, but I want to make a comment. Firstly, I want to thank your studio guests for giving us some information. While it is true Liberia is going through tough time, we all know we want to see Liberia, forging ahead. But for the discussion today, saying that the opposition will be a possible replacement for this government, I don't see that being workable. Why am I saying this? When the opposition said that they were coming to proffer during that time of the first riot, or how you call it, campaign and stuff, they said they had something to give the government. Everybody was like, yes, that will hold the government to their feet, and make us to know how real the opposition is. They took to the street that day, that very day. Everybody was anticipating good of it. We saw nothing. Liberia just got out of standstill. People were deprived of the social media just because of that day for nothing. The second instance, most of the people in the opposition, they listen to two people who is sought from morning to night, and nobody will say, oh, this man is part of the CPP. Let us be, refer that when our government comes to power, the other people will make our country a better one. When Henry Costa speaks, no one come after to say Henry Costa did this wrong. You expecting us to trust this kind of government when it comes to power? What will happen?
Thank you.
If Yeke Kuluba say this,
Mr. Lobo, please take notes. I want to get.
All right. Yeah.
No, Mr. Gibbs. Hey, Dennis, let me answer those two questions. I don't want to forget nothing. Let me proceed.
Why you need to take notes?
Because I don't want time to answer. You start giving me 1 minute. Let me answer those questions. Okay,
because your answer is not going to be brief. So let me take a few more colors. Please take notes. Let me go to my next caller, 602-9936.
Yeah. Yeah. Hello.
Hello. 9936. Go ahead. Your name and where you calling from.
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
Okay. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes. Call your name. Where you calling from? You have 30 seconds.
This is Lance. I'm calling from Arizona.
Lance.
I want to ask Josh Lobo.
Okay.
Hey, Brother Josh, what's up?
My man,
Good. What I want to ask is this, right? Have you asked Joseph Boakai about the Ebola money? Have you ever asked him whether he knows something about the Ebola money? The money that came in during the Ebola.
during the time the Ebola was going on in Liberia.
Can we just go?
Okay, that's one. The second one is this. When CDCs were in opposition, did they ever went to the House in America here and tell the speaker not to give aid to Liberia? So these are the two questions.
Yeah.
I didn't get the second question.
I just want to come in.
No, Master, there are 3 questions. Let me answer them.
Need to question. We are running out of time. So, and we don't want.
No, let me answer the question.
We don't want the callers to be online. So, if you can take down the question.
Let me
I've taken down 4 questions already. Can I answer these 3 questions and then we can take another call? I can't just keep piling up questions. Let me answer these questions.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Let me go to the first caller. The first caller said that $30 million was given to Joseph Weah and Ellen to produce rice. Caller, your math is not right. The exact amount of that project was $60 million. And just to correct you, George was in charge of that project. I think he was a campaign manager for the CDC. And according to the report I saw on that project, the equipment were brought into the country. But they said when Gaddafi died, it stored the project. So the funding did not come for that project to be completed. It is true, the land was allocated, the equipment are in Lofa, but the money did not come. And it was not $30 million, just for the record. Yeah. So let me finish now. On the issue of that, Ambassador Weah did not take the money because he was not in charge of that project. It's just that he came from Lofa. He was supervising, but the fund did not come. Mr. Makitok presented a documentation. You can go to thank God the Unity Party signed the Freedom Information Act. You have access to those documentation. Okay. On the issue of what Weah have done, let me make it very, very clear. Ambassador Joseph Newman Weah have represented Liberia on numerous occasions. And as a vice president, he attended a state visit to Beijing, was welcomed by Xi Jinping as a vice president. As a vice president, when Liberians were dying in numbers, he came to America and addressed the United Nations and rallied the troops. And America went to the White House and met with Barack. America gave us $25 million and sent U.S. forces to Liberia. He has done it as a vice president. The notion the last caller asked me about Ebola money. Let me be very, very clear on the issue of Ebola money. Ambassador Weah did not handle the Ebola money. Ambassador Weah was not in charge of any Ebola funding. There have been no record, there have been no history tying him to that of the Ebola money. Let me say this to Liberians today. Many of you Liberians have persecuted people in a court of public opinion. When you want to persecute people and show that you have the fact, they must be persecuted in a court of competent jurisdiction, not in a court of public opinion. And that is one thing I see from many Liberians. And in stating the facts, they state their opinion and believe that that's what should hold. And the notion that whether the people trust
Can I call it German to operate? Can I call it German to operate?
Thank you, Mr. Lobo.
Can I make a comment on this issue?
Yeah, make a comment and then we go back to the lines.
In 45 seconds, Mr. Lobo, this is hypocrisy. You and everyone else are prosecuting George Weah and his ministers and government in a court of public opinion. And you come here and don't want it to happen to you? That's hypocrisy. Y'all say the man lie. Y'all say the man can steal. Y'all say the man can do everything. Y'all go in the street. Y'all protest. Y'all do. They say the man's a criminal. In the court of public opinion, when they say y'all go to court, y'all say, oh, they court under the man's hand. The court will not be fair. And you come here, you say they might not prosecute you in the court of public opinion. That's hypocrisy.
All right, let me respond to that. Let me respond to that real quick.
Hold on. Yeah,
no, let me respond to that before we go on. We are not, when it comes to George, when we criticize the CDC government on corruption, when we talk about wasteful spending, Madam Ellen Johnson said the office budget was 15%.
Mr. Lobo,
let me finish.
We'll keep going back and forth. You just made your point.
No. Let me finish this point and then we'll go forward. Let me clarify. He spoke. The question was asked to me. Let me say this to you. When we talk about the 25 million, is that a public opinion? Those are facts. When we talk about the missing 16 billion, those are facts. Those are not public opinion. When we talk about President Weah 53 million delegation, those are facts.
Okay.
When we talk about George Weah spent 206,000 to go to France,
Mr.
those
Lobo,
are not
Mr. Lobo, they
opinion.
accuse
Those are facts.
Joseph Boakai of squandering 30 million. You say, well, that 30 million, you fail to tell us the amount.
I'm giving you numbers with facts now, so I'm giving you my numbers now. You challenge it. There's there no 25 million? 25 million. I asked you about the 25 million. Is that opinion?
You said they brought in equipment. What did they use to buy the equipment?
I asked you, sir. I asked you about the 25 million that was infused.
No, I'm not going there. I'm not going there.
It was the 25 million infused.
The question I asked you was, the gentleman said Joseph Boakai squandered 30 million.
And I told you that
what million is it?
I told you.
Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on to the caller. Let's get a few more callers because caller from
We'll come back for part 2.
Yeah, we'll come back. 9426. Let's just get a few callers in. Caller, your name and where you calling from? 763 area code 9426.
It's not worth my time.
Please go ahead. You're online.
Let's go.
All right, let's go to our next caller, 701-630-9785.
Hello?
Hello, go ahead. Your name and where you calling from?
Hello?
Hello, go ahead, please.
Hello, go ahead.
Hello, are you getting me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm getting it. My name is Emmanuel. I'm calling from Fargo, North Dakota.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
Go ahead. You have 30 seconds. Your question.
Okay, so my question goes to George Lobo. A couple of weeks back, George Lobo said that those guys that were going on riot to unseat George Weah were not doing the intro and Liberian people because the vice president is going to be president, and she's one of the people that he doesn't want her to be president. And then my question goes to you, if you don't want Joy Howard Taylor to be president, and then now you are supporting
I want to get a question.
He said the vice president was not super enough to be president. And then now he's supposed.
I said what?
Caller, go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get on this straight because when these guys come out and say that they are leader, we should listen to them. I wanted to be very practical. George Lobo came up a couple of weeks ago and said that Joy Howard Taylor was not good enough because those that were going on the street to unseat George Weah were going to give room for Joy Howard to become president. And he said because of the Unity Party, the MPP link. But now I'm asking him, if there is Joy Howard Taylor, why are you supporting Belinda UA in the first place? Because they offer the MPP and they all caused problems for that country in the past. So why are you supporting Belinda UA now?
Thank you.
All right. You want me to respond?
Thank you.
Let me take a few more calls because there are a lot of people.
Dennis, I don't want to forget. Okay, so he said let me read the question. If I didn't want to support Joel, why am I supporting you?
Yes. So let me.
I didn't want to. Okay, go ahead.
Let me go to the next caller, 6161.
Hello, sir.
Yes. 8 area code.
Thank you for having me on the line.
Please talk louder.
Arizona. Hello. Thank you for having me on the line. My name is.
The color there, the color drop.
Caller?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So my question to Mr. Lobo is that it's not a question per se, but I want to say something before I ask a question. First thing is that he keeps defending these things. When we ask the question to say, what is a viable alternative to the Weah government? Does the Liberian opposition represent a viable alternative to the Liberian, Weah-led administration? That's the question here. What do you have to bring to the table? Today, we look at Liberia and where we've come from. We look at all of the suffering we've gone through. Before I go first, Sis Martha said something. She said the Liberian people selected or elected George Weah because they were tired. No, to a point, they were not tired. They saw something in him. All of these oppositions, which one of them has ever done what he did before coming into position? So they did see something. It was not that because they were tired and they needed an alternative. Because if you look at the alternative, there were more than 17 other political parties in there that they could have voted for. But why did you think that the massive vote went to him? It's because they saw something. And this is what they are following. Now, Mr. Lobo keeps saying that, oh, this did not happen, that did not happen. We were in, I don't know if he was in Liberia when Ellen was president. I don't know. Maybe if he was there, then after
just ask your question.
Himself, then he ran and came on this side. Now, my question is that, do you think that as an opposition, if you can be able to positively give your input to the government and not to be running around the streets and be doing things that will reflect a negative impact, a negative image of the country out there, don't you think that it's going to make you to look for other people to see that you can do it if you get there? You have to be able to, I'm saying that you have to be able to.
Okay.
Thank you. Let me go to.
Let me respond, Dennis.
You always like to respond. Let me take one more, then you can respond. The next caller, 203 area code 9037.
Yeah, brother Dennis, thank you for bringing me on. This is to Lobo.
Your name, please, and where you calling from?
Mr. Wilton Esketa from
Okay, Wilton.
Lobo referred to
who?
Yes. Wilton Keta.
Go ahead.
Lobo referred to Mr. Ure as a decent person that brings credibility to the COP, and also the Unity Party and the LP. I mean ALA. So how is it that Unity Party lost the election when Unity Party have all the credibility? How is it that Bernard Ure name is on the no traveling ban, or he has been indicted? He can't come to America. How is it credible to lead our political discourse maybe when we are leave office? How can Liberian people trust a Ure? How can Liberian people once more trust the Unity Party and also LA?
Thank you.
All right.
Let me okay, let me make this. The questions are going to Mr. Lobo, so I want you to respond.
Let me be very frank here on something. When I talk about Ure, I also talk about his business accomplishment. Once again, I made it very, very clear. When you go to the maritime where Ure was, there was an audit done by the European Union where they found no evidence of corruption. It is true that Ure is part of the CPP. I do not come from the ALP, but I'll tell you, Ure is a businessman, and every Liberian knows Ure have had his business establishment in Liberia. Ure have shown consistency, have shown leadership, have shown durability. It is based on those attributes that I'm discussing Ure. Let's come to Ure on the international stage. It is widely believed that Bernard Ure is wanted for war crimes. He has made it clear that he wants the war crime court to come to Liberia. And if he's found guilty, he will be prosecuted and found guilty, and he will bear the consequences. What I will not do here today is to sit here as a member of the CPP to begin to pass judgment and prosecute Weah. I will treat Weah based on the qualification that I know until it is proven, I repeat again, in a court of competent jurisdiction. That is the basis upon which, when it comes to the traveling ban that was mentioned earlier, let's not forget that Weah is not the only one who was on traveling ban. There were so many Liberians. It had to take Ellen's influence for some of them being to be removed or for the traveling ban to be eased. The Joanne Howard Taylor was there. Edwin Snow was there. Weah was working away. Weah came to Canada the other time, right? So Weah can go certain countries. So the traveling ban have been eased, but certain countries still have it on him. That is done at the UN. They will settle that. But I can say this to you, that whatever allegation you have against Weah, whatever you believe he has done wrongfully, I think we should allow the War Crime Code to come. Let Weah go and exonerate himself. Let the man be given a due process of the law. Now, I want to go to the second question. The caller said, do you think that as an opposition, if we can support this government from a positive perspective? Then I want to tell the caller that you have not been on a position. The opposition was invited by President Weah. One day, we went there to the meeting. If you recall that meeting, Abraham Darrow got upset, he walked out. Apart from that meeting, you've seen pictures of Ambassador Weah meeting with the president, providing advice to him. You've seen Alexander Cummings release statements, giving government recommendation on what needs to be done to revitalize the economy. So we have been positive. The COP for the CPP. Let me be very, very clear. The COP is the Council of Patriots. The COP is different from the CPP. I am a member of the CPP, but I'm not a member of the COP. So let's get that clear. The protest that happened on June 7th was led by the COP and not CPP. That is very, very clear. And they were exercising their constitutional right. Yeah. And I think every government must allow people to freely participate in the political dispensation of that country. Let me get to the first caller. Emmanuel said, I didn't want to support Joel. And that happens for George to leave. And power goes to Joel. Let me be very, very clear why I do not support him. And Joel, in particular, I was very, very clear. I call her name. The reason is very simple. Joel Howard Taylor and I come from the same county, which is Bond County. As senator from our county, Joel have not exercised the judgment and the leadership to be reflected in the county. On during Joel's leadership as senior senator, there were massive scandals involving Joel and George Molba with regards to the county development funds and that of the Banga Technical College. That is why I do not support Joel. That is the basis upon which. So my position of not supporting Joel is not only MPP, but Joel herself as a senator from the county where I come from. I have a problem with her leadership, and as a result, I cannot trust her as president. So the NPP as a political party, I have been very, very clear. I did not discuss, I said the NPP as a party. I do not support the NPP. I do not support the NPP and Joel come from the NPP. That is my position.
Yeah. Thank you. I want to bring it, and we say have callers, but I'm taking just one last caller so we can end the broadcast, and that's 978-621-2338. Caller, your name and where you're calling from. 978, your last 4 digits, 2338.
Yes, this is Pape Flomo of the Flomo Show. How you doing, people?
Welcome, Papa Flomo. Your question or comment?
Well, it's a comment. It's not a question. So, Mr. Judge Lobo shouldn't rush in to answer it. So it's not a question because I know you will try to answer it. It's not a question. It's a comment. Now, first of all, the opposition is not a viable candidate. They are not a viable replacement to George Weah because Joseph Walker himself said they squandered a lot of opportunities. So if you are given the opportunity and you squander it, you are no more a viable replacement of George Weah, number one. He indicted himself, number one. Number two, if you have a 20-year-old child who cannot read at a third grade level, and then the first 18 years of that child was guided by his own father. Now that the mother left his father and got a stepfather for that child, the next 2 years of that child, the stepfather is trying to make him read at a 5th, 6th, 7th grade level, but he cannot get there. You, the father who gave birth to the child, you cannot come back and ridicule the stepfather saying, oh, after 2 years, my child can still even read at a 5th grade level. No, you were there for 18 years. You were there for 18 years and your child couldn't read at 3rd grade level. So you are not a viable person. You have no moral audacity to come back and ridicule the stepfather who has been there for 2 years and your own child cannot still read at a 3rd grade level. So based on those two reasons, that's why I said the opposition, they are not a viable replacement of George Weah. You are not a viable person.
My very last caller is 612-601-4785.
Dennis, my battery is running out.
All right.
Dennis, my battery is running out.
All right, your battery is running out. So let's conclude this thing. We have gone almost like 3 hours.
At least, yeah, because there's now over 2 hours.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. So I think it was you were coming to me after the last call, right?
Yeah.
Is it my last comment, or we have a time to give out?
Make your comment you are going to make, and then we can come to the closing.
All right. My brother, I think Lobo has to do a lot of job as a young man, and I believe that all the young people who are in a political party, they have a responsibility to effect change in those political parties. Because for a long time, the older people think that the young people are not capable of doing anything, and so they keep them in the background. And it's time for the young people to take over the party. And it's a disgrace to the entire Unity Party to continue to abuse an old man like that. That's an elderly abuse. That's elder abuse. In America, we will sue them for elder abuse. They are misusing this old man, and they know that when the old man become president, he will only be there while they're still around him. That's one of the reasons why this.
We have a lot of older people running for office here, though.
Hey, Masa, just let him speak. I beg you. My battery running out. I want for us to wrap this up. Let him speak. Go ahead.
Not just.
We have a lot of older people in America.
I need to respond to it.
Compared to Joseph Walker, who goes to program and sleep all through the program. They don't sleep all through the program. Joseph Walker does. Okay? So, I mean, to be honest, to put the whole thing in perspective, the viability of the opposition, it depends on the intelligence, the high caliber and sophisticated manner in which they handle issue, the research and data publication to embarrass the present government, the way they treat information and facts. They are all important in determining whether you can join any of them as a viable candidate. That's why I always said, if the opposition behave well, they will be able to make George Weah a one-time president. But if they start lying, if they are exaggerating hyperbole, if they are so desperate to the extent that they will put children in the street, they will be giving facts that are not correct. Like Cummings will say, the George Weah paid for the motorcyclists from Ghana when you know it's not true. They pay for that. When Costa will be on the side telling the people they use $1.9 million or 1.5 or $100,000.
You can bring that in your closing
Let me
comments.
respond so we can move this file so before they put my battery down.
Battery down. Okay, so now I want to get
Dennis, let me respond to what you said about my stellar burial real quick.
No. Hold on. I want you to give your closing comments.
Dennis.
You have
Dennis.
You have 2 minutes.
Dennis, I must respond to this first. I will respond to this first. Here's what happened. Yeah, but that's why let me respond to it, then I will do.
And
here's the facts.
Right?
I will close.
Let him talk.
Mr. Ja, I allow him to speak. You cannot allow, listen now. He cannot bring a tax on the Senate bill of my party.
You don't want the elder abuse. This elder
let
abuse.
Let me do this.
Right.
So let me say this to you. I think you have not only been disrespectful to Ambassador Weah, you have been disrespectful to the Republic. This is a man who have contributed over 30 years of his life to public service. These are not people we abuse. These are people we respect. He's a statesman, and he's one of Liberia's finest public servant, career public servant. And I think your statements are not only disrespectful, but as a father, this does not represent Liberia. We need to respect those who serve the country, because public service, you do not get money from public service. It's where people come to give to their country. And for such a man who gave his life to his country, let me finish.
Disrespect.
And you continue to insult him. When we talk about elder abuse, you talk about America. In America, what is the age? Can I finish my statement? In America, No, let me finish. No, let me finish. I'm not speaking for myself. Let me speak for myself.
Okay, Mr. Lobo, let's conclude with your. I get your point on Ambassador Weah.
No, let me finish my point, Dennis. You can't always keep cutting me off. Let me finish my point.
But you're taking too long. We gotta conclude this.
No, you did not stop it, Dennis. You have Joe Biden who's running for president. You have Elizabeth Warren running for president. She's 77 years old. And you made mention of America. So in all fairness, what are we talking about? The young people will take over politics, but experience is something the older people have. There is nothing wrong with learning from a 63 years old man like Cummings. There's nothing wrong with learning from Europe. There's nothing wrong with learning from a fine civil servant like Weah. And I appreciate the fact that he is the standard bearer of my party. I am proud of him. And what I want you to do moving forward is to be respectful of people who have served their country with honor, not to downgrade them or insult them. That is my advice to you.
Thank you. Let me make my last comment now so we can go. Right. Am I allowed to make my last comment now?
Yes, sir.
Before you concluded, Gibson.
No, I didn't conclude. The man said he wanted to speak and they allow you to speak. So I'm a gentleman. I got to let him speak.
Because we got to go. You're just closer.
Let me just say this, Mr. Lobo, I don't care how you diminish yourself as inexperienced. I don't care. I still believe in the young people. But like I said, Massa over there, there's social science. Massa knows about using other people to achieve your objective, selfish objective. You guys, I just want to kill that old man because you want to be so corrupt.
Are we closing? Is that your closing?
That's his closing.
You need to stop.
Yes, please do not put me in a debate.
Go ahead with your closing. I want to hear it. Go ahead. You was the first to open, Mr. Dennis. Go ahead.
Close, Mr.
Go ahead.
Okay, so in closing, I got one little advice for the opposition.
Go ahead.
The advice for the opposition is for the opposition to be viable, have to try to be honest to themselves first. Look at the group operating in. Mr. Cummings, I always say Mr. Cummings is with a lot of sharks. And these are the big sharks. Joseph Boakai, old, deadly, old sharks. Very, very wicked old sharks. He's going to swallow Cummings before Cummings realizes it. Look at Benani Ure, a very vindictive, very, very self-centered old sharks. And thank God, it's not a good thing that Councilor Bronski is sick now. But look at our whole party. Councillor Bronski, man. The chair Amblikanga, Bassa man. Chairperson, Bassa man. Dara DeLong, co-chairperson, Bassa man. Secretary James, Mr. Smith. Smith is Bassa man. The former co-chairman now, who is the Bassa Weeks, Kimmy Weeks, Bassa. So you got a party of only one tribe, and these people are saying that they can replace the CDC with a diverse representation of different people. This is unrealistic.
Thank you.
Let the opposition put their acts together. Let them do research.
Yes, I will
bring
conclude on this conversation, sir.
Bring investigative
closing
data
statement, please.
of the government. In that way, the government will be put against the wall and under pressure to respond to this thing. But the way they are behaving, that's why we ain't even taking it serious anymore. Because they're not serious.
Okay, yes, my
This
closing
time protest
on
is
this.
nothing.
Yes,
When you see the protest, you say you go protest.
On behalf of
As soon as one protest, you go protest.
Yes, my closing statement. To our Liberian people, yes.
On behalf of Focus
Mr.
on
Gibson.
Nigeria, thank you for your time today. Will not give the
Thank you very much.
Mr.
Okay.
Gibson, Josh.
Okay. All right, so this is what I want to say to you, my fellow Liberians. You've listened to Mr. Gibson. Attack opposition leaders in defense of a government.
But I'm that's my job to do today, to attack.
So when you are speaking, I didn't speak. So let me say this, folks. At the end of the day, it's simple. No amount of lies will pay the people who have not been paid. No amount of lies on social media will bring the US rate down. I can tell you that. No amount of lies will be able to give excess amount of dollars to the government to take care of his budget shortfall. No amount of lies will pay teachers. So people can come on this platform and lie and continue to lie. But attacking great Liberians, the likes of Cummings, Weah, Uri, and Bromsky, I think is irresponsible, it's wrong. Let us point out the ills in society. I'm committed to the CPP. Our leaders are people of character, and we trust each and every one of them. We believe that if the Liberian people will listen to us, we remain a viable alternative to moving the country forward. When we are committed to cutting wasteful spending, we are committed to being fiscally disciplined, we are committed to restoring Liberia's credibility on the world stage, we are committed to employing competent, experienced people to serve. We are committed to weeding out corruption. We are committed to persecuting people and not giving people jobs based on family background, on which region they come from. We are committed on bringing a government that is responsible, that is honest, that is credible, that is dedicated. And I want to say to all of you, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dennis. Thank you, Massa. God bless the Liberian people. Take care.
Thank you, Honorable Josh Lopo, for your time on Focus on Liberia. Dennis, do you have any?
Well, thank you, gentlemen, and I really apologize to our listeners online. They were all in the queue, but we couldn't reach to them because this is the longest we have gone. But it's all good because at least, like Dr. Formula say, our mom they're not gone. At least we can use our mom to discuss these things. I want to thank you and appreciate your time so much. I thank all those online. Tomorrow, 3 p.m., we're going to have our economic forum that we have moved from Wednesday to Saturday. So 3 p.m., let's watch the economic forum. And we are inviting especially Mr. Cummings and Mr. Ure, both financial people, to join the economic forum. Tomorrow, we're going to be discussing infrastructure development. On Sunday at 6, we're going to be discussing African collaboration, African unity. Our guest will be someone from Zambia and another person from Uganda. So please keep tuned. I want to thank you all so much. We didn't even have the chance to vote to see who won the debate. But if you
can go back and follow the comments.
Please,
then I will make that judgment.
Who
when it comes to
I saw my brother Josh Lopo fighting to rescue himself in the CPP.
No. You know, Mas, to be honest, listen, the CPP is super. You know me on these issues. The CPP remains strong. You try to attack the CPP, but at the end of the day, I made it very, very clear.
The first thing, the four of you cannot even put your organization together.
Listen, Mas, we are all live.
So then who want to debate? Your feedback.
Okay, my feedback here is I appreciate all of you. This is a very healthy debate. And
I will play part of the debate.
Well, go read the comments and see and learn from there. And next time people need to come here to discuss the issue. I don't like this opinion. I don't want that. You come here to defend the government. This is why I don't want people coming to say, I don't defend the government, then you resort to defend the government. Then when I attack you on the government, then you run away from the government. That's what makes me laugh.
That was my point with Gessie.
They come here say they can't defend the government. So I ain't defend the government.
We want to thank you guys so much.
You know,
it's been very, very healthy.
That is the level of dishonesty. If I was CDC governor, I would not get him money.
Good night.
I would never get him money.